This video is brought to you by GameMaker. And if you've ever wanted to get into game development, GameMaker does this really crazy thing where it's free. Just start making and only pay when you want to release your game to the world commercially.
It's fast, it's user-friendly, and there's easy-to-follow tutorials, plus a dedicated community to help answer even my questions. How make man jump? GameMaker is a 2D game engine that's helped bring some of yours and my favorite recent experiences to life, like UFO 50, Chicory, Anton Blast, and of course, Yahtzee's own Starstruck Vagabond.
Ooh, we talking about GameMaker? I love that program, it's so easy to use. As well as Starstruck Vagabond, I also used it to make all 12 projects in my 12 games in 12 months Dev Diary challenge. And I couldn't believe how much sex I got out of that. None. I got none at all. Which I couldn't believe.
So what are you waiting for? Head on over to the GameMaker link in the description and start cracking away today, because we want to play your game.
Yeah, looking through this list, I'm seeing one of you made Armpit Fart Tycoon, and I've got several questions for you.
I actually started laughing.
I'm right here. I just had to put some things away so it didn't seem messy. Go, Jay, go.
Hello. Welcome to DevHeads, the podcast focused on the ins, outs, and goings on a game development with host experience ranging from indie double to AAA. I'm Jay, the indie rep, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Tina.
Hi, I represent AAA.
And Mikee.
Hello, I represent AA. If you had to put me in a box.
Yeah.
That's a AA box. I feel like an indie box would be really small. I feel kind of cramped.
It would be.
Like,
it would be cheap.
Oh, I've got to do all the sound and
cheap.
UVing. Oh, please. But how are you guys doing? It's been a hot minute since all three of us have been on. Welcome back, Tina.
Welcome
Thank
back,
you.
Tina.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better. I might mute myself to sneeze and blow my nose every now and then, but I'm feeling good. I wore a hoodie today because of Skate 2.
Weird to
Skate,
seem.
period, trademark, you mean. Skate,
Weird to
lowercase,
seem-
skate,
That's right.
Yeah.
period,
Skate 4,
trademark.
Skate 5.
How
Skate 3.
skatery could we seem by putting clothes on?
I,
Mikey, you
as
didn't look
everybody can
particularly.
see,
Yeah.
I have nothing skatery oriented. I just have my boring game developer Unreal Engine shirt on. But I did come prepared, because for the entire stream, I'll be holding up my pair of Vans beside my face to show that I'm a skater. So, I
So
had
for
these
all
things
listeners-
I've had them a long time. They're still pretty white, actually. So,
Super white, dude.
if anybody
Bathe
has
those
any
bitches.
skater questions, you can feel free to direct them toward me, because I, as a man with fans, am a genuine skater. I live in Los Angeles too, so I can go to Venice Beach with these. And I mean, I'm
And then you're
I'm
like,
more of a
this-
skater
the
than
life
Jay.
of the party, dude.
Life of the fucking party.
There you go.
Life of the party holding your Vans.
I would have put these shoes down.
Hey guys, can I hang out with you? Holds up Vans. Yes, you're part of the club.
Hello,
That is
fellow
the
kids.
secret
Yeah, hello,
password.
fellow kids.
Hello, fellow kids.
I'm done.
Which we'll get onto it in a bit, but skate full stop trademark is a little bit hello, fellow kids. But to begin
Sean
with,
Daly says you've never skated in those. You're
they're too
correct.
clean. He
Very
bathes them.
astute, Sean.
He tentatively bathes them, Sean. How dare you? But just like we did last week, with this new kind of formula, what we're going to do is touch on a little bit of news before we get to the main topic. And the main thing that we've decided as the dev heads that we want to cover as this opening is EVE Vanguard, which you guys might be familiar with EVE Online. When we were at The Escapist, we made their documentaries. The massive, extremely complicated MMO that has a very complicated like economy and interactions for its players have finally, through many failed attempts, made an FPS, and they've revealed it. And I'm just wondering what you guys think of that, Mikey and Tina. Like, what's up with this like massive leap in kind of gameplay shift with these big studios? What's up with that?
Go first. I need to think.
So it is lucrative too, as a business owner, to look at like the shooter genre and visualize and see all the news stories and reports about how much money they generate. So I'm not surprised that a massive game with a massive following, with their own, built-in following, wants to try to dig their heels in and make their own to generate more money.
Yeah.
That's not like a radical thing to witness as a business person. As a developer, I guess it's sort of expected that at some point in your career that a publisher or the person funding you is like, hey, we want money, do live service, and that's a tough thing to swallow if that's new to you, right? Like, I think we had Tim Schafer on here, and he was the one saying that he would never make a shooter just because of all the nuance and detail required, which is really amazing for him to say, because not many devs have been straightforward about things like that. Like it's you can't just go into a shooter blindly and make one and think like, oh, it's gonna sell like hotcakes.
Yeah, because it's like the nuance of it is really important, because on face value, because the shooter genre is so mechanically accessible to a lot of players, because they're so common nowadays, and it kind of makes sense, right? Point and shoot. They seem very simple to create, but they're not. Like, which both of you guys can speak to.
There's a lot of detail.
There's a lot of detail and nuance. So it's very, very difficult. So it's not a small feat for the Eve team to be like, let's make an FPS. This isn't like an afterthought throwaway. There's a lot that goes into it. And I kind of admire them for that. And Mikey, you have a little bit more information than I do on this, but they've failed at trying to make FPS before, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, hard to. Maybe I wouldn't categorize it as a failure. Like, I don't know. Dust 514 is the project I'm talking about. Dust 514, I think, was for the PlayStation 3, and it was supposed to be kind of. Was it 514? No. Yes, 514. It was discontinued. It was free to play. Okay, it did hit market. It was CCP Shanghai that made it with them. It was a PS3 FPS, and it was supposed to be integrated into EVE Online. The idea there is awesome. Okay, like to me, FPS games, like we haven't seen a lot of like core loop innovations, I think, over the years. The last ones I can really think of that were like deep, true, change the moment to moment, change the controls, are probably like Halo and SWAT 3. I feel like I have to think a little more, but what's also a good space for innovation is like the meta layer of like, why am I doing all the fighting? What's it affecting? Escape from Tarkov is the big one here, right? Or you could even say a game like DayZ, right? Like you creating sense of scarcity, making something that's more streamable. I think the raid genre is a meta layer on itself, but you add a whole other layer if you have your FPS integrate into the MMO itself, integrate into a larger meta war or meta narrative. The Foxhole is doing this, right? PlanetSide 2 did it. Foxhole is a top-down shooter, and there's a lot of there are big games like it, like Infantry, I guess. But the point is, like, there's a lot of there has been a lot of experimentation with that, but I can't think of an FPS MMO that has really created a very meaningful feeling meta layer, except maybe PlanetSide, that has its own faults. So I'm really excited for this one because I want to see what the potential is for that. From the playtest that we're seeing, it's still pretty early. Like, it feels to me like they're just trying to get the raid aspect right, and they're also doing some experimentation. I think it's a 9v9 mode called Insurgency. I have to double check. That's like a more competitively focused, and they're just testing their like blueprint weapon system. You can see there's some footage that we have on screen now of Clean, who's playing Battlefield with us a few weeks ago, and he's playing it. And the pacing's interesting. Like in one of the interviews, one of the devs was talking about how they like doing raids where they might go the whole way and they don't encounter a single enemy because they're just trying to mine stuff and then get off the rock. You know what I mean? That kind of thing is cool to me. That presents unique opportunities, I think, as far as raid games.
Yeah, more interactions that aren't wholly based around shoot person. Obviously, like there's the option for that, and that's what the game is always kind of pointing you towards, those altercations. But having other things to interact with that aren't that, it gives you this sense of suspense that while you're doing those actions, you could be ambushed at any point, and that's like another layer of complexity that I think is not unique to this playtest, but I think it's something to aim for, because one of the main things that I think EVE, the MMO, did really well, and why I think it stayed successful for so long, was the level of risk you had while playing it. While we were off stream, we were discussing EVE, and I mentioned that these gigantic wars that happen in EVE, and because the ships you buy can cost real money, the economy is entirely based around that. that when these giant wars would happen, the fleets of ships that would be destroyed cost real world money. And I've got it here with the war. One of the wars that happened, and I haven't got the specific name, it cost $700,000 like of real player money. Like the stuff that was lost,
Fucking Eve,
$700,000 worth of stuff.
Oh, man.
Mental, absolutely insane. Like and that level of risk, I think, is what has kept the economy and also the tension of those worlds alive. And I think maybe that might be hard to capture in a boots on the ground like FPS format. I'm not sure of a way. Like, could you guys think of a way to implement that stuff?
I think that you could, because we see large scale conflict that has meaning to it, that has scarcity, right? That has story to it, like the storytelling. I'm using story in the same way people talk about how Dwarf Fortress has a lot of story, like player-made narratives,
Ludo narrative,
stories. Yeah. And so I think you can have that because we kind of already do. Like we have games like Squad, which I think is like 50v50. Then you have games like Arma, of course, which gets up there.
Do you remember Mag? Wasn't Mag like that?
Mag was a good example. Yeah. I don't know if Mag had much of a meta narrative. Mag was a PS3 FPS. People don't remember. I don't know too much about it. Tina, you might know better than me. I think it was like, I don't know how many players it was. You could look it up.
They had a large battle separated into various games going on simultaneously, and whatever the result of each little, I guess, fight within that big battle ended up.
Oh shit! Sorry, it had 256 players.
Yeah, but
this was 2010 on the PS3 by the people who did the SOCOM games.
But the thing is, I don't think they were all together in one server. I think they kind of broke it up. So it was like, I don't remember the player count. It must have been like.
I've just thought of an example as well.
40. What?
The of meta narrative gameplay going on while doing FPS gameplay boots on the ground. Helldivers 2.
Yeah, that's
the success
true.
and failures in those games affect the overall meta narrative of the game as a whole.
Yeah,
and the entire population of the game's players has to work towards specific goals to have them completed. Like they're doing it.
And who's to say you can't just do that PvP with like a large amount of players?
100%
in like a semi-slow paced game.
You'd need
like
factions though, right? Because you'd be fighting for territory and resources and stuff like that, right?
I think if it's all clan based, then it gets to be like the open world or the full loot PvP MMOs, and that could get a little. I mean, you could have it there too. That just gets really scatterbrained. But anyway, sorry, Tina, what were you going to say?
I just wanted to switch the conversation just a slight bit because I haven't played EVE Online, but as someone with experience with shooters, would I enjoy EVE Vanguard? Is that something that people would like if they have no understanding of the EVE universe?
I think so, because what Vanguard's going for at its core, I think, is fair to say, is it's a raid shooter. It's a sci-fi raid shooter, right? What you would call a raid shooter, like inspired by Tarkov, extraction shooter, whatever. That's probably better. You go in, you get the resources or the cool thing for your gun or whatever. You might encounter players, you might not, and then you get out. It's at least very inspired by that. And then their whole deal is like, well, we're going to tie it into EVE. You don't really need to be playing EVE. In fact, right now they're just testing the gameplay of I think they call it a module, kind of like Star Citizen does themselves, and it's pretty independent. So it's just an FPS that you could enjoy.
Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of Star Citizen, I think this is a great time to bring that up because the overarching conversation that we're going to be having in our main topic today is early access. And I think with EVE and other spacefaring games, one of the games that was touted to be a huge competitor for them was Star Citizen, which has been effectively, it was kickstarted 13 years ago and was touted to come out, I think it was 3 years after its Kickstarter, and it still isn't out. And I have a personal horse in this race because I put over $300 into that game.
Sorry.
You're an investor,
buying
right?
a ship. Well, because at the time, when it first got kickstarted and they were like allowing you to buy ships and stuff, they were like, the game's going to be out in a few years. And genuinely, what they are promising to do, Star Citizen feels like one of my perfect games. Like, I would adore it. And they were like, hey, if you buy ships, which I bought the basic ship, it goes directly to supporting the development. And then I think a few months later, I had some more money, and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to upgrade my ship to be like a bigger and better one so that me and my friends can use it together, because what they're planning to do is multiple people will pilot the same ship doing different tasks like shields and mining and gunning and piloting and stuff like that. So I was like, I'll buy a bigger ship so then all my friends can come on and we'll do stuff. The game's in an alpha at the moment. You can go play it. I could go play it now. I haven't in many years. But it's
still
become a bit of a
technically
meme
early
that it's
access,
stuck there.
So almost
Yes.
a decade of early access.
Yeah. And it's kind of ridiculous. And they're doing a single player mode called Quadrant 42. Correct me if I'm wrong, everyone in chat. And that's been said. They say it's coming next year, sometime next year, which is cool. And it stars like actors like Andy Serkis, Mark Hamill, Gillian Anderson, and like it's like a full-fledged massive single player. But they said that was coming years and years and years ago, and it still isn't here. And a lot of people's opinion is that it's like a scam. Like what they're doing is taking money and just not making the game. But if you speak to people who have actually played it, if you speak to people who have played it, it's actually really coming together. But my God, it's taken them 13 years to get it to this point.
13.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely getting made. Yeah, what you're saying. I guess the terminology is the sensitive thing here. To call something a scam, you kind of have to define what a scam is. I don't think that it's a bunch of people charging for virtual ships and then they're watching the counter go up and they're rubbing their palms together and going, "Oh yeah, we fucking got them, haha." I think it's obvious that it's a team that wants to make a good game. I think what Star Citizen is dealing with still and has over the years is just they kind of lurch from deadline to deadline of what they set, and the scope is enormous. Yeah. And they just keep on getting great ideas and trying to execute on them, but it's so huge, and I think it's still with CryEngine, is it not? So they're working with an engine that doesn't have a lot of support or knowledge base, at least not as much as something like Unreal or Unity, and they're trying to make something that doesn't have like a clear endpoint. It seems, and when you have like so many people working on something and you don't have a clear endpoint, and when the scope is kind of vague, you get years and years of development that has no clear end to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Star Citizen being in early access for this long is pretty insane. I think this is the most extreme case of early access that we'll probably ever talk about, right? And the older Star Citizen goes and gets, like, they're going to be the like gold standard for early access extreme edition. You know what I mean? But from my understanding of Star Citizen, I've interviewed an engineer that worked on it. That was a gameplay engineer that wanted to come to the place that I was working at the time. And I remember one of the gripes was they would just get assignments with no end date, no understanding of whether they can scope anything down, right? So it seems like it's the kind of project where you can just think big and just tell people to make it, and you don't really give a shit about like how much it costs or how long it's going to take. Or even if it's like the most valuable thing you can do for the quality of the game itself, right? Like, I think they're just throwing so much effort into it without actually realizing some of it might be wasted. And one example of this is, I remember telling you guys the other day when I thought I was talking about EVE Online, but it was Star Citizen. When you get in the train to go into like your first area of the game, and you're like in the train, and you look out into the like futuristic city, that's all modeled. It's all a ton of models in the distance, and it doesn't need to be. It could just be skybox or like 2D cards or something, and that's what most games would do, right? For like memory costs and performance and all that stuff. But they just fucking modeled the whole city, and I just feel like that's indicative of like everything that they do in that game. It's just it's not like dev time wasted in ways that could have been better put elsewhere, but they don't give a shit about that. Like, you know, like I don't.
You're reminding me of what I think I'm hearing you say is reminding me of something, which is like, I feel like what happens on huge projects like that very often, that where the direction's not clear, is it's not like you don't care about your work. You just kind of like do whatever feels right and like keep yourself busy, which can be dangerous because then you work on stuff that doesn't have a lot of value or that doesn't get used, right? Because it gets thrown out because the vision changes.
Yeah, there's another thing, an issue with that kind of development cycle. Well, one of the problems is that I've got the numbers here. To this date now, they've raised over $1 billion in crowdfunding. This is
shit.
Yeah,
1 billion.
This is the
$1
most
billion.
I think the most crowdfunded game ever. Like people want this game. I mean, yeah, I spent $300 on a single ship.
Are you
but
sure? 1 billion.
According to the numbers here, I'll get the exacts in a minute. But apparently
still
in
hundreds of millions,
August 2025, they passed the billion mark.
Wow.
Okay.
So one of the issues with having that much money and also now getting so past the development time is that when people are working on these things, they are undoubtedly working on some really, really cool features. But the problem with that is when you have a game that's been in development for 13 years, if you create a new feature that is incredibly cool and integrated into the core systems, you then have to retroactively go back and change everything you did previously. And I think they might just be stuck in this iteration of having to rework their previous things to add this new Frankenstein monster's arm onto one side of it. But that's not just mechanically, but also visually. I know the game director came out and said that I think it was 5 or 6 years after the initial crowdfunding session, they were like, we had a vision for the game, but now graphical fidelity is so much higher than what we had 5 years ago. So we need to rebuild everything from the ground up, like to do a new visual system.
And stuff.
And that's probably happened again, right? Because we've had such crazy advancements and they're trying to do so many ambitious things from like space to like into orbit and then onto land travel in ships, which until No Man's Sky did it, it was never heard of, right? It's like actually crazy. And I've seen it in action and it looks incredible, but like I think they just keep having ideas to make the game better and better and better and better, and then the time it takes just keeps ballooning, and it's a little bit unhealthy, but I really hope it does come out because
I remember on
really
Infinite Warfare when we were doing space and ground battle, in one of the levels we so the ground fight was one map, and then as you're going into space, that transition that we created actually loaded the new space map in the background. And so when you finally came to and like kind of whatever north was like above your head in space, that was the new map that loaded in.
Okay, yeah, like there's ways to do it. It's just a lot of the things. A friend of mine's been really eager to try and get me into it because he plays it a lot and he says it's getting to a really good place. But one of the things as well with carry on.
Yeah, sorry, a quick question before you continue. When he says it's getting into a good place, what does that mean? Like, what's a good place to them?
That's a good point.
Because it could mean so many things, right? It could
yeah.
just mean they like the way that the ship controls. It could mean that they like the shooting of the FPS module. What do they say?
He's starting to say that like there's an actual loop forming. So at the time I was playing a lot of Dune Awakening, and the core loop of that is going to get resources to build up currency to build and buy new, bigger, better ships and stuff like that. And he was like, "Yo, dude, you should really play." Because I was like, "Oh, I really want this, but I want it on a bigger scale, and I want there to be like better combat and stuff like that." And he was like, "That's Star Citizen," and he was like, "I play it, and that's what it is." And he told me this grand story, very similar to Eve, where he was him and a bunch of friends like created a fleet of ships to go to this area of space that was a common transport line, because certain ships in that game are just designed to transport goods. Like they are giant freighter ships that are just designed, and you have to have like convoys of protection for them because like they're so big. So he created a fleet with his friends to warp into this transport line where people would go from planet to planet transporting goods, and they ambushed these people and said that, and took what he said was like 5 days worth of like materials. And And I was like, that's fucking awesome. Like, just like the systems exist that there are people that are just focused on mining and transporting goods, and there are people focused on doing space piracy that is affecting real people. And
There's
I'm like,
persistence, there's resources. Yeah.
but then he was like, but also, I then, with all of that money I made from doing that, bought a new ship. But then they released a new patch and it deleted everything. And I was like, because it's early access,
Virtual
like,
money
we're wiping
he
the game.
used to get the new ship, right?
The virtual money
clarify.
he used, yeah. But it wiped everything.
Well, that's
for
fine.
him,
That's like a
and-
wipe. That's a wipe like Tarkov.
Yeah, that's a wipe. It's
that's
in
a
early
certain
access.
case,
They're just
yeah.
like, we released a new patch, we're wiping, blah, blah, blah. But he's like,
Yeah.
when the game gets to the point where they stop doing that, and so when it's out, he said it's going to be incredible. And I'm like, wow, that sounds really good. But as a player who's motivated on like, I really want to buy these ships, I want to do that, and this and whatever, the thought of everything getting wiped just like is very unappealing to me. So I just, because I personally, like, I do not like playing early access games. I would much rather wait for the full product.
You know,
What was that, Tina?
I just at this point, I don't think EVE Online can say, or not EVE Online, Starship can say. Did I say Starship?
Starship.
Star Citizen. God damn it!
It's
Star
okay.
Citizen.
Starship persons.
They can't say they're
Honestly,
early access anymore.
wait, quick pause.
say that they've
Starship for the
been
game is
over
not too-
13
too
years is
terrible.
like insane. You're just playing a game that's just is, and now it's getting updates. It's not an alpha. It's not an alpha game. Like there's just no way. That's crazy.
It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. It really speaks to. I think if we were to zoom out for a second, this really speaks to the viability and I guess the incredible boon for video game development that virtual distribution was, right? Like having things like Steam, being able to buy games online, get patches immediately, not having to worry about going gold, getting on a CD or cartridge.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild the kinds of things that we can do, and obviously consumers have to be careful as
Yeah.
part of that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
early
I mean,
access is like a scary thing, and maybe we should touch on this.
Yeah.
You're basically putting money into a product that isn't going to be polished. It's not going to be like anything that you get that may function the way you would expect, right? So you anticipate that there could be bugs. There is going to be bugs. You might get your currency wiped, like you guys just mentioned. So what you're funding is for the game to be better in the near future, whatever that future is, but also you're investing in your trust in that company and how they're going to use that money and time, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where, our question of can early access still be trusted? You're really hedging that quality bet on the team behind it. And as you guys know, a team doesn't stay static for 13 years. You're going to have devs come and go. So it's a really interesting thing because with your money, you can financially say, I'm invested and this is what I want as a consumer, right? And then people listen, and maybe the wider industry will say, oh my God, people want this like sci-fi thing. Like we should probably look into that too. So it like you're voting with your dollars, but will your dollars actually be spent in the most wise of situations for development? Like that's not something you can control necessarily. You just have to hope.
Yeah. I'm you're right. It's very risky, and that's just like I was saying a second ago. Like, consumers have to be careful with that. Like, you always have to be very mindful. I'll say this though. Like, I feel like on the whole, the attitude toward early access has evolved to being more positive in general, and I think that's a good thing. I get why people have been suspicious of it for so long, but I like what it does for the space in a big way. I think you obviously have a lot of chaff, right? Or maybe not chaff, but just like projects that might not go anywhere. There's a lot of risk involved with those. There's also a lot of like time and energy and research demand from the consumer, where like you get on the marketplace to get something. Imagine you were going to buy some mangoes at the market and you were given an early access mango, or you had to talk to the person who's selling you the mangoes and say like, so tell me how you prepared this mango. Like, what's your 12-month plan for these mangoes? And like, you had to learn all that. And then you go, okay, I'll buy the mango. It's not a one-to-one to that, but I get the annoyance there from players. However, on the other side, I guess why I like it is because it encourages people who like aren't sure of their product and they want feedback from people through an ecosystem like Steam or other platforms. And they could say, hey, just give me a little bit of money and like I can keep working on this thing and maybe it'll turn into something bigger. And if you give me the money and within 2 hours of play and 2 weeks of owning it, you don't like it, you'll get the money right back and nothing changes. That's why I think I'm so supportive of it, is because it's so easy to opt out if you opted in.
Wait.
Yeah,
For an early access game, you can opt out and get your money back?
For a Steam early access game, I should
I
say.
see,
Like
I see.
the Steam refund program is basically what I'm talking about, or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
You can buy anything on Steam. I mean, correct if I'm wrong, anybody. You can buy anything on Steam, and as long as you play it for less than 2 hours and it's inside of 2 weeks of the purchase, you can get a full refund.
Yeah. I think
Now,
legally
that's
they
for
have to
any
do that,
game,
but
right?
it's still
Not
a good
just
thing.
early access?
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, correct.
everything.
Yeah, any game.
They have to
Any
do it.
game. Yeah.
But
So-
I want to say that I also like, I say I don't play early access games. I'm 100% in favor of early access. There are a lot of games that would not exist unless they went into early access.
Like what?
So a lot of games that would have complexities in development and need a lot of balancing, and they kind of need, because one of the benefits from not playtesting, that is it. Early access is playtesting. You are getting actual
free
player
QA.
free
It's that
and more,
QA.
right?
They are paying
It's
to
that
give
and
QA, right?
Yeah.
So Hades 1 and Hades 2, which is on the thumbnail, Hades 2 is coming out of early access on the 25th, I believe, so in 6 days.
Mhm.
And anyone who played Hades 1 in early access, which I didn't, but I know close friends of mine who did, will tell you how much that game changed as it went through its development cycle in early access, specifically based on player feedback. And because of the level complexity and how those games are balanced, spoilers for what the next design delve is, it's on balancing roguelites. But they kind of need that testing, and it would cost so much money to get that testing through a normal development cycle. And I believe they had the money to do so, but why not try it out in early access? And they did this for their first and second iteration of this. So I think it's super, super valuable, but that doesn't mean everyone should have to opt in. I personally wanted to wait until Hades 2 was out fully to play it. And I know many of my friends did, because I'd rather just play the full thing because of the narrative nature of that game. But there's so much value in getting that feedback
people
early.
are paying early on to get access to something early to try it out, Hades 2, right? And
Yeah.
in theory, their feedback or experience and wherever they sent their feedback would hopefully make it better for the end consumer once it was out, right? That would, from me, I'm curious to know, and we should probably look this up during the stream, if it was cheaper to buy Hades 2 in early access versus when the game's finally out. Because then for me, as a gamer, it would make more financial sense for me to buy it early on. Maybe dabble in it a little bit, maybe not play all of it, because I don't want to ruin it for myself until I have the perfect experience.
Yeah.
But you're still kind of opting in early on. I wonder if that's...
I don't believe so. I see Eric typing, so I'm sure we'll get that hot, fresh information.
Yeah.
But I think it's the exact same price in early access, but I could be wrong. Yeah, Eric was saying nothing stops you buying it the day before it leaves early access. Yeah, but I don't believe it was cheaper in early access. Okay. I think it was the same price. And I think that's fair, because it's about having the right mentality when you go into early access, which is this game is not finished and you are effectively helping it get finished. You are not. I think early access is the wrong. I think the phrase early access is just wrong. You are getting early access, but like that could be misleading to some players. It's like, oh, I can pay to get early access to the game. Well, the game's not finished. You are, helping the development of the game. Like, paid tester should probably be a better fucking term, because that's what you're doing. You're paying money to test the game.
Yeah.
To return
that's
to
what was appealing, right?
To return to one of the questions, I was just doing a little bit of research to confirm this. Games that we might not have if we didn't have early access or some form of it. Minecraft might be a good example of that. Obviously, it wasn't Steam Early Access. This is 2009, 2010. But there were alpha versions of Minecraft that were tested by the public. And I think you had to buy like a premium membership or something. You had to make a purchase in order to play it. So obviously a pretty good success story. Minecraft might not be the game that it ended up being if it didn't get that feedback, right? And people weren't willing to put up that money and take that risk to give that feedback.
But also, like, not just testing, but also just money in general. If you think of indie games, so for example, I'm making my game at the moment, and I do not plan to do this. It's just hypothetical. Let's say I get about halfway, 3/4 of the way through the development of the game, and I realize that I need money, right? To finish it. I need to pay people. I need more than me to finish it, and I just don't have the money to pay them. But I have lots of people interested in the game, and I say, "Hey guys, my audience, I'm close to finishing the game. I'm on the last stretch. I need to, like, I've made no money off this game. I need to finish it. I'm going to go into early access. If you're interested to come, like, buy the game."
Yep.
That money could then be used to fund the completion of the game. And
that's a very valid reason to go into early access as a developer. But I remember a time when I was working on Apex Legends, we were being told to put Apex out into early access because that's just what battle royales did. All battle royales were in early access. That was just like the norm and accepted thing at the time. And I remember we were going to do that. That was like our plan. I think we were hoping to come out in around PAX timing in like August of 20, whatever fucking year that was, 18? God, 17? I don't know. It's a long time ago. But then one playtest changed our mind. I remember we brought Shroud in to play, and he was like our cool like buddy that tested the game with us as his in flight. And he just looked at us and said, "I'm tired of playing early access shooters. I just want something polished." And we're like, well, we didn't need the money, right? As the dev team to put it out in early act. Like that wasn't our reason. It was just the thing to do. So we decided, okay, we're just going to wait until the game's done and then release it. And so we avoided early access altogether. But that was a potential thing that could have happened with Apex.
Yeah. But with that, I completely agree. But also with the example I used before with Hades 2, Supergiant Games did not need the money to finish Hades 2. They made a shit ton of money off of Hades, right? An unfathomable amount of money. But the early access is in favor of player feedback and testing. And I think that's like the two branches for me of early access that are really valuable, which is player feedback and testing and funding. Like there are two. I mean, sometimes it can be
Hold
both.
on, there's another. I think
don't know
there's
if we
another
know that for
component
sure,
here
though, right?
where early access in the context that we're talking about here, we can do post-release updates, right? And we will do post-release updates for any multiplayer game. So at that point, it's not even like you're saying, well, we're doing early access because we want feedback. It's more about optics. It's like two things, optics and marketing. Optics could be, we want to communicate to people, this is an early access, we welcome your feedback, we have a plan, and we're not confident about it, which is okay. Also the marketing, here's early access, we want to save like all of our big push for 1.0, and then when we do that, then it's going to be this big terrific release. I remember people criticizing PUBG for hitting 1.0 at what felt like it was a little too early, and it was just a marketing effort, I guess, to stay relevant or whatever. So I think to some degree, early access can just be like not a misnomer, but just not misleading, but just like an ambiguous term that doesn't really mean much if you're just going to get feedback from players after 1.0 anyway.
I think when you say early access to players, it definitely signals this thing isn't polished, so anticipate some jank, right? And I think that could, and if you're not confident in your actual release date, you could abuse that and say, this is early access, and then you get away with like a non-polished experience.
Yes.
So I'm just sharing this because I want the listener to know that there's very different reasons that a developer or publisher can say something's in early access. Some are not as great as others, right? And I also want to mention that when you're a live service game, it's a war of attrition, right? Like you want the most amount of players for your game So you could also use early access as like a weapon to try to put out your game before your biggest competitor comes out to try to grab more players.
Yeah.
And so I think
You also
in
have
the
more
Battle Royale early days, that's what was happening too.
Yeah. You can also choose 1.0 timing really cleverly as well. Like, I think Supergiant has done a really, the Hades 2 devs have done a really smart thing of finding this very small window at the end of September to be like, oh yeah, by the way, we're releasing 1.0. Like, it's because the game's been out in early access and they've generated a bunch of revenue already. I think it's a lot safer to have that space to be like, okay, when are we going to drop? Also on the stats thing of saying the Hades team didn't need early access to fund the game.
Yeah.
On Steam
Do we know
alone,
that
from
for
the
sure?
first Hades game, they sold 8.5 million copies and they made 144 million gross revenue. And their team size is 25 people, so they had enough money to fund.
How many
Hades
years
2.
between Hades 1 and 2 though?
That's a great question.
Because that has a big
Been a
factor.
bit, hasn't it? Yeah.
Also, the
2020,
cost
so
of-
it's been 5 years.
yeah, and the cost of making games has increased a lot in the past couple of years, and it's still going to go up.
Oh no,
in the
100%. But
years,
like
so.
on Steam alone, not counting console sales, 144 million for 25 people over 5 years is enough to fund the next title. But like,
But
I'm not saying they shouldn't be in
That's
early
assuming they
access.
didn't
I'm
owe
like,
anything to EA for marketing and all
yeah,
that
that's
stuff.
very true.
I think it's a safe bet. Like based on
It's
what
a
I know
safe
about
bet that is a
AA
lot.
space.
Yeah.
Like
They're
that's a
comfortable.
good chunk. Probably. That they probably are. You're totally right, Tina. Like that's just gross, right? We don't know publisher stuff. We don't know Steam's. Well, we
You don't
did
know
have
how
Steam
much
stuff,
went to their
30%.
bonuses. We don't know how much
Sure.
went to like giving them
Oh, no,
promotions.
1,000%. But also, 144 million is a safe bet that it's okay.
Yeah, I think
right,
it's a safe
for
bet that
20 for a team of
they
25.
can mess around a bit and take risks, and that's maybe what they're doing by saying like, well, we want to try early access just because we want the feedback. Is what
Yeah.
it
We don't know
sounds
how
like.
much it cost for them to put it on every platform too. I don't think they did that. They probably hired other companies to do that. So
Yeah.
it's all.
But
it's
then you
all-
count the revenue from those console sales as well, which this wasn't accounting any of that. Yeah, like there's I completely value Tina's point there, which is the money that is made on a front facing space isn't what the company has. But I do think it may have been enough for
We're just
for
guessing.
what
I think
they
it's
had.
a safe bet. But
Yeah,
Tina's
we're
right. There's
just
a lot of other extra
educationally
costs.
guessing for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are lots of different reasons to go into early access, and I think a lot of them are valid. But there are stories of people, pulling the rug. Mirif said in chat, which was it's a much safer bet to go with an early access game rather than a game on Kickstarter. And I think that's because a lot of the times you're not getting the updates and or access to the game, so you're kind of just putting your full faith in the devs, which is what you were speaking about earlier. You have to put your full faith in, and sometimes that works, and sometimes it doesn't. Right? I've been burnt by Kickstarter before. I don't know about you guys.
For all people complain about early access, which, as I said earlier, I think it's less so. People complained a lot about Kickstarter, and they had every right to. I'm sure you guys remember that early 2010s period of all the Kickstarter stuff. I got excited by it. I loved the idea. I liked the concept, but I backed some projects that just became nothing because nothing's out yet, right? Steam early access, which is what we mostly mean when we say early access, there has to be a game already. Something has to be playable, and it has to be not so undeveloped that it at least gives somebody a kernel of an idea of like, okay, yeah, I could see where this game's going. I'm
so
going to
just
keep
looking
getting
at concept
feedback on it.
art, right?
Exactly, just concept art and just like some
A
guy who like has an idea. And so the only thing that really saved Kickstarter is, we were talking about this before, like if it didn't get fully funded, then it didn't go anywhere. But even if it did get fully funded, fuck man,
may
like
not go
the person
anywhere.
could do whatever they wanted with it. Yeah. That was a time to really get burned. And that was not very consumer friendly. But we were also excited because I think we had this idea that I think had a lot of merit to it as an idea, where publishers will prevent us from getting the games that we want. And they often did, totally, especially at that time and before. But it also shook up the space a little bit. Like it was still a good thing, don't get me wrong, to have Kickstarter. But
There's
wow,
some
that
great
was
success stories, right? Like Bloodstained Ritual of the Night from the guys who made Castlevania Symphony of the Night was a series that people wanted to see continued, but Konami wouldn't let them. I believe it's Konami. And so they went to Kickstarter and were like, we're going to make our own thing. That game was a success and was what everyone wanted. Or like they did a Kickstarter for Wonderful 101, a remaster of that, which is fantastic, and I'm really glad that exists. But there's also games where like what are they called? I think some of the OG like Sonic devs and stuff wanted to make some games. I'm sure Chat or Eric will remind me of what this is. And then
So
they came out and they were just like ass. But they
There
were
were a lot
Kickstarted
of-
and they just suck.
Yeah, there was a lot of that was happening.
Yeah.
I looking back on it is interesting. I'm looking at I had it up here a second ago. Broken Age, right? By
Yeah.
Tina's good pal Tim Schafer and their
Oh yeah.
team.
Friend of the podcast.
Double Fine, yeah.
I
Their
put like
Kickstarter-
$200 into that, I think, at the time.
Oh, right on. So
Yeah.
let me ask you guys a question, and don't look. And I want to ask the chat this too. How much money do you think Tim Schafer got for Broken Age with Double Fine Adventure, the thing that kicked all of the Kickstarter game funding, crowdfunding off? How much?
As in how much money he personally made, or is how much the Kickstarter made?
Kickstarter. How much did the Kickstarter raised?
It's like a couple million, right?
I was going to say like $1 million at least.
It was more than that.
3.3 million, which I look at today and I think that's not enough.
That's
And
not
I'm
a
not
lot
sure
of
if-
money. Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it was. I don't know. I'm sure they had other funding too. But looking back on it, knowing what we know now, and obviously there's inflation and stuff, but I'm surprised at how small that number looks to me now. I think as we keep saying, this feels like a common refrain for us on the show. Like the money you think is a lot is actually not. And this just reminds me of that looking at this.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of listeners don't understand how much money it takes to create a game, right, from scratch, or even just take something from concept to completion. And it depends on the scope of the game too, right? So when you think about a AAA game, like think of your favorite AAA game at the top of your head. It's probably close to, before marketing, maybe like 200 million, 300 million dollars. And then if you do marketing, that's probably like 400, 500, 600 million total. It definitely blows like any Marvel movie out of the water. Like AAA, the big game brand names, like
Yeah.
they're easily spending that much money over like the course of 2 to 4 years, right? And then for
But
double
even
A,
on
I
an
don't know.
indie perspective, right? Same thing. Like there's
You're not spending that much though.
No, we're not. No. But like spending a lot more money than you think, right? Like it's game developers are. Oh, okay. This might be a little bit self-indulgent.
Go on.
Game developers
Go on.
have a very particular set of skills and are very talented, usually in a
Sorry.
specific
I didn't mean to laugh.
area, which means they need to be paid a specific wage. And the more you've been working in the industry and the more experience you have, your
More valuable.
your wage goes up and you're valuable. Which means that like even if you've got a small team, if you've got a set of really talented devs, not that they're demanding higher pay, they should be paid more, right? Because they're using their skills creating your thing. So it costs more and more and more and more. Like the more you add it, and the more the game gets
Easily
bigger. And it just I'm very fortunate that at the moment my game costs nothing to make because I'm doing most of it by myself.
Look at you go for nothing. Tina, you made a comment earlier about how games are expensive these days, or more expensive, I think is what I heard you say. And I have to admit, like, my reaction to that was kind of like, is it though? Because I feel like it really depends on the scale you're talking about. I feel like games have gotten only cheaper just because of how many people like Jay are sitting out there to do stuff, or how cheap outsourcing is when you go to other countries, even if you're on a big budget game.
It's rough. Yeah, like, so for listeners out there, Jay saying he works for free. I mean, that's technically not true. You're just funding your lifestyle from another job.
From
doing
my
this
job
as
here.
like yes.
The
right?
patrons here are
So
effectively
you're still
paying for my free time development.
electricity, for your hardware, for your software.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Right. So it's not necessarily free.
Yeah.
So you have all those factors. Healthcare is a huge thing in the United States. Like, that is very expensive. The US tends to pay game developers a lot more than the rest of the world, right? Like, it's always like an inside joke in game dev that like the UK, for example, doesn't pay very well relative to
Or Europe, dude. Europeans.
That's
all of
something
Europe. Yeah.
I'm dealing with right now.
Like a senior or mid-level person here makes more than like a director over there.
Dude, that's a big one for sure.
it's
You're
crazy.
totally right. I don't want to
It's
say
true.
names of studios or anything, but I've heard stories of going through a long ass interview process for a European game studio that all of us would know. All of us would know super well. And
Yeah.
you finally hear the offer and they're like, what? That's like, that is definitely not enough. But that's
you're
also
making
Europe in general.
$70,000. But I guess cost of living's cheaper, so that all is a
Yes.
factor,
Yeah,
right?
that's true. That's true.
Um,
But still.
Yeah. But
I
when
don't know.
you
You and I live in LA, so like fucking maybe we can't
Yeah.
say too much.
a lot of game
It's
devs are in
expensive.
LA though.
And we have to be paid a lot.
This
I mean,
this is
it's
something
not
that
fair.
like I've experienced firsthand because I'm working on the game primarily by myself, but I have a very dear friend of mine helping with some of the more complicated programming.
Mm.
And when we talk about pay or percentage and stuff like that, they're like, okay, so where are you going to set up the company, in England or America? Because if it's in America, you're paying me American wages. And he says this jokingly. He's like,
Yeah.
because it's quite literally double, right? It's nuts.
It's a lot.
So he's like, where
Yeah,
are you setting
and-
up? Because I'd love double pay. It's like,
And
oh,
that's
God.
part of why, and this is a generalization, of course, and it's very context dependent, but that's part of why I have a perception of game development being cheaper than ever, because it's cheap to get the tools, it's cheap to buy the art assets that you need. You don't need to hire an artist. You can use AI to cut a lot of costs, and
I
you can
see, I
outsource
see.
a lot of stuff to other other countries, that will work for fractions of the American dollar, just because that's how economics work, right?
Yeah, that's what's tough about like outsourcing art or being an outsourced artist, because being that type of service, it's a race to the bottom. And what I mean by that is you have to be the cheapest group out there at the time when someone hires you, because that's why they're hiring you. And
That's
so
how
you're
you get the work.
So there's like a lot of outsourced art companies in Asia, in Vietnam, in Thailand, because cost of living is cheaper out there. The dollar goes farther, which really messes with artists in the US or Europe, right? Because how do you compete with cheaper?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like they're doing just as good a job or better, right? So, like, of course, you're going to go and you're going to spend that money. I don't think we've talked about this before, but people really don't realize how much of the games that you play are made by, like the code running in the gun that you're shooting in your FPS might have been written by an engineer in Colombia, and you would never know it, right? Or the bird that flies through the sky was made by an artist in Ukraine, right? Like we don't really acknowledge that much publicly, but it's very true. And again, like the art's just as good or better, and it's much cheaper. So how do you compete with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. But like early access is a thing that I think allows developers with all these money woes to actually be able to make their things. And one of the companies that is doing that, and I think this will bring us to the main hoodie wearing, shoe holding topic of today.
Oh, hold on, I'll reach for them
is
again.
Skate full stop TM.
Before you get to
is-
that, may I
Oh,
just
yeah.
do a full break? Can we look
Yeah,
at the
go for
fan
it.
funding that we've gotten in the chat and read those?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, let's do it.
'Cause I want to make
Speaking
sure.
of funding, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me...
We'll have to talk at some point about this new phenomenon that we're talking about, because I ultimately think it's good for the medium, because it means more people around the world get to develop skills and go like, hey, let's make our own game. I think the team that made The Forest, which is a fantastic and innovative survival crafting game, they were all artists themselves, right? Working on VFX stuff and might even been an outsourced company. I can't remember. And they went on to make a beautiful game. Imagine that happening with companies all over the world in places where you might not have a lot of great economic opportunities. So I think it's something to talk about. But anyway, yeah.
100%.
For sure.
We've got Johnny Rogers with the $5. Says, me before, early access games are a terrible idea, Star Citizen. Me now, wait, they can be helpful, glad I support them, Baldur's Gate 3. So there's another game, huge game, that like massive critical acclaim, that was in early access originally, which a fraction of the players actually played it in early access and were singing its praises, but when it came out in 1.0, blew up the industry, like crazily.
Okay.
And how that game was developed is something that is hotly debated
That trailer
amongst
is
game
gnarly,
developers.
Eric. Oh my god.
Have you played Baldur's
Yeah,
Gate
well,
3, Tina?
No.
Really good.
I know. I need to play.
Really good.
It
Extremely
was a
good.
game changer, man.
yeah.
People, and you could tell it was a game changer. You could tell because of how much it scared so many developers. They were like,
It terrified him.
Yeah, dude, because they knocked it out of the park.
Just
I
because of the amount of game it was?
Yes.
yeah, but also the
The
execution.
scale, yeah,
Like,
and the
yeah,
execution.
go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, that's
You
it.
know-
It's exactly what you said. Scale and execution is.
I felt
the
that
thing in
fear
combo.
with God damn it! I hate that I
Hello
forget
Kitty
names.
Island Adventure.
No, what was the latest game from Bethesda that would have had star in the name, space or some shit?
Oh, you're talking
Starfield.
about Starfield. Yeah.
Starfield, yeah, that trailer that scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, but that game's shit.
Well, I didn't. Okay, look, I don't know if it's shit because I personally
how you
have
really
not
feel.
tried it. But when I watched the trailer of that game, the early access trailers or whatever, I was like, "Holy shit, that's a lot of game!" And I weeped
okay.
for their devs because that was insane.
Interesting. Because I did the complete opposite. As soon as
Really?
they released their trailer and told us the scale of the game, I went, "This game's gonna be ass."
Well, okay, yes, yes,
Mile wide,
it-
inch deep kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't. I'm not. I try not to be as skeptical. I try to be half
I'm a
glass
massive
full,
skeptic.
right? But I was like, that's a lot of shit that they have to pull off. That is scary. And as a developer, I was like,
Yeah.
they're crunching their ass off, and their UI team, God bless you. Like, that
Yeah.
is
I think part of
too
the
much.
I think Starfield had an issue where it was well, I mean, it was in dev hell for years, right? Like people were talking about Starfield. I want to say at least 6 to 7 years ago, they were still talking about. I'm pretty sure. I feel like it was in development for a decade, but I guess I'd have to confirm that. And I think what ultimately came out didn't feel too much beyond Elder Scrolls, but in space. And I think that's what a lot of critics leveled at them. And I think that's a pretty fair criticism of Starfield. And I think that Starfield is one of those games that people looked at and went like, okay, this style of RPG, it's definitely a Bethesda one. It's definitely like Elder Scrolls style. But this one over here, Baldur's Gate 3, this is what we want more of, right? This is an RPG game that engages with its RPGness more so than what they do. Jay's got a thought. Go for it.
It's focused. Baldur's Gate 3 is unbelievably focused on its narrative and your ability to execute meaningful changes to the world via that narrative. And Skyrim, to a certain extent, was the same. It was how you could interact with the world to affect change on the game's story and its world. Starfield is the complete opposite. It doesn't have any of that narrative nuance. And I can't remember the exact number, but they were like in the trailer. I was expecting them to have a handful of planets, like a solar system. There are 5 planets you can go to. And I'm like, that scale is nuts. But like, I reckon they could do it. That would be really cool. Imagine Skyrim, but there were like 5 planets to explore. But when they were like, there are thousands, I was like, you're cooked. They are all going to suck. None of them are going to have any of the like nuance of
It was
any of
about
their previous
quantity,
games.
not quality at that point.
Yeah. And,
Classically,
and I think
exactly.
Auto-generated
No
stuff.
Man's Sky did so much damage to the space game industry because
Space
when
They
came
redeemed
out,
themselves, though, as people say.
Also, I don't give a fuck. I do not care that they redeem themselves. I think they did the
No,
industry
sure. Your criticism's
and their
still
fans
valid.
massive dirty when they released the game. But the whole, hey, you can go to an infinite amount of planets has made every other game that incorporates space and planetary travel. If you don't have an infinite amount of things to do, people are going to go, well, that sucks. Because yes, No Man's Sky nowadays is exactly what they plan to do. And I'm proud of the devs for doing that. But it makes every other game look small. So Starfield was like, well, we've got to do that. And it just spread itself, like butter stretched over too much bread,
Quick question before we move on. This is a great question or great donation
thanks,
because
Johnny.
it provokes such a good discussion. But
Yeah.
quick one before we move on to the next one. What game, and this is for the chat too, what game did the best at random world generation? Not necessarily independent planets, but just terrain, anything, any sort of random generation. What game did it best, do you think?
I might need chat to come in for that. It might be current No Man's Sky.
Current No Man's Sky.
But
Okay.
yeah, it might be current No Man's Sky, but I'm sure chat will come in for that. Because procedural generation is its own fucking topic, because a lot of people think that procedural generation is just complete randomness, and that is not true.
Yeah.
It's following a procedure. It's in the name.
What do you think, Tina, before I give my answer? Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm gonna sound really dumb if I give an answer because I don't really pay attention to procedural generation as much. Would it be Diablo 3 had that, right?
Yeah, and 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure,
I believe
sure.
2.
Any of the Diablo games,
Or
I
was it
think,
all
right?
of it?
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
I'm pretty
something like that.
sure all of them had, yeah. And that helps. Like one of the nice things they had going for them, of course, is they had the restriction, quote unquote, of this is 2D, and you're just going to run through, a picture of a cave, right? So that helped. People in the chat are saying Minecraft. Jerem says somehow Minecraft, Terraria.
Minecraft? Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Dude, that was
Terraria.
going to be my answer. I was going to say Minecraft or Vintage Story.
Okay.
Vintage Story is like a hardcore version of Minecraft. I think it was made by a German Minecraft modder that I don't know how much it innovates on the procedural generation of Minecraft, but it's a badass fucking game. I love Vintage Story. Vintage Story is a game where like when you want to do your blacksmithing, you do it like Kingdom Come Deliverance style, where like you actually have to etch out the shape of a fucking. You don't even do that in Kingdom Come, but because it's all voxel based, you get to etch out the axe head and then heat it and then
Oh,
cool
that's
it.
so cool.
It's awesome. I'd love to play out with you guys.
Have I not
someday.
heard
It's
of
sick.
this? That's sick.
Yeah, it's fairly obscure. I mean, I don't know if anyone in the chat's heard of it, but their depiction of, I mean, it's very Minecraft inspired for sure. I think that their procedural generation might have been a little better than what was in Minecraft, but it's hard to say. Minecraft probably takes the cake. Again, like they had this restriction that kind of helped them, which was the voxels.
It's so easy.
And then also, it's not a very attractive looking game to most people, and it's dated at this point. It was dated when it came out, right? It was old school, but it was stylized, and still, like, I don't know, the loop was so strong, and the caves were so fun to explore. So I feel like that helped, and certainly a game like Starfield, with all of its planets, and you're only above ground, and I guess in some caves, like it's mostly aesthetic at that point.
I do give Minecraft props for breaking this terrible, terrible race to having the best graphics in a game as like the thing you have to do, right? As developers.
They did, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
They did break that. They did.
And all the young people growing up don't give a shit about having like extremely, we grew up with like 16-bit Sega Genesis, screw Nintendo, right? That doesn't really exist anymore.
That's true. Yeah, because people don't
Minecraft
give a shit about that anymore. They just want to
blew that up.
Yeah.
And I love that happened. Like I think it needed to happen at some point, because just racing to have the prettiest game it's really stressful, especially like on a game where you have to be on so many different platforms, right?
Yeah, man.
You're like, let's support the Switch, but also the PS8. I'm like, God damn it.
Well, that's the exact hole that Star Citizen has fallen into, right? And why it's gone into these development cycles of just constantly trying to say as pretty as the current thing, even though it's taken 13 years to get where we are. If they just went with a completely stylized look, they wouldn't be having that issue, but maybe the game wouldn't sell as well.
If you do procedurally generated, definitely recommend doing a stylized game because it makes it so much easier. I feel bad that we derailed from reading the other fan funding.
We can go to them. We were just finishing
that
that question. Was so good.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Vongerschwinder, $2. Thank you so much, bud. And said, didn't Guild Wars 2 have the 3 big teams fighting? Yeah, so what they're referring to, sorry, I'll take this one, guys, as the Guild Wars.
Jay, you've heard of Guild Wars before, right? You know Guild Wars?
Guild
Wars is a fantasy MMO, Jay, with swords and goblins.
Wait there. Watch this.
Okay, we're watching. Everybody.
It's not mansplaining. It's Unreal.
It's not mansplaining. No, listen, honey. Let me tell you what fantasy.
Here are
MMO
2
is.
Guild Wars 2 vinyls that are just behind me.
Shit.
while we're
Those
talking.
are pretty.
So
Hold this up a little longer. Hold on. I want to see that. Nice.
it's not
Jay's holding up.
actually light
Why don't
very
you
well.
describe it, Jay? Go ahead.
End of Dragons. Wait, I'll do each one. This is an End of
Remember,
Dragons.
some people are
vinyl
just
with
listening, so be
The
descriptive.
End of Dragons logo on the front, and then inside we have art and the vinyls. And the same for Secrets of the Obscure.
Do you actually use those, or are they just like paperweights?
I crush up the vinyls and snort them and just try and imagine the music.
Like that Ego Raptor video of the Halo Reach release, where they snort the disc of Halo Reach.
So, in Guild Wars 2, they do have these big faction fighting things, and it's a system called World versus World, where factions, as in different servers, when you load up the game for the first time, you choose a server, And then effectively in the world versus world mode, you fight in favor of that specific server. I haven't delved too much into that system, but it's a massive all-out PvP war that includes 3 factions at a time. And it's constantly evolving and stuff like that. Cool. So I'm sure people in chat can speak more to that. It was never really my focus. I enjoyed the PvE/PvP side rather than the world versus world side. But they definitely did that too. It was just less on a more permanent basis. In games like Helldivers or Eve.
For listeners, I'm asking for the listeners. What's PvE versus PvP? What's the difference?
Okay, so PvE means player versus environment, which usually means you are fighting AI enemies. So you're fighting NPCs. You're going into a dungeon and fighting a boss, or their grunts and or their trash mobs, as they're called in MMOs. And PvP is player versus player, which means you would load in and you'd be fighting in an online match against other players. For instance, most FPS games are PvP, but their campaigns are PvE. And World versus World is just PvP, but on a much bigger scale, including a lot more people. So if you didn't know those terms, get fucking educated, mate.
There you go.
It's what you're saying reminds me of I guess it's cool that they did that. I love that. As I said earlier in the podcast, I like the idea behind a lot of MMOs, and I like MMOs in general. I haven't been playing much lately, but yeah, good call, I think, to have the 3 factions. I was talking about PlanetSide earlier. I've mentioned it before on the podcast. They did something similar. When you have 3 factions, I think you prevent just like one dominating the other. There's supposed to be sort of a counterbalance.
Well, World of Warcraft did that. They had that problem with Horde and Alliance. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I thought you were going to say they did 3.
Yeah, in Horde and Alliance,
shit, right?
Yeah, they had an imbalance of what people wanted to play Horde and Alliance on specific servers, which means when they went into PvP matches, certain factions would just dominate the others. And then people would be like, well, Alliance suck, so I'm going to make a new tune and just fucking go on Horde. And then the problem snowballs. And then suddenly there's no one to play PvP because everyone's on one side of the faction. So having 3 solves that.
It will not necessarily, because it still happens with 3. PlanetSide has its own issues now where they have, I don't remember exactly how it works, but they invented a faction of robot mercenaries, basically, which is kind of cool sounding. And they're supposed to go to the lowest pop faction, because if people aren't playing that faction, you as mercenaries, you get hired to fight for them. But then they made it so you could be a robot and fight for whoever you want, just because robots are cool. It's World War II Online is an old school MMO that came out in 2001 or 2 or 3 or something that also has a pop problem just because it's an older game, and it's whether you're relevant or not, it's a constant concern. It's just like with the games Tina and I work on, which are ultimately arena-based FPS games, I guess you could say. They we got to make sure the matchmaking doesn't take too long. We got to make sure that there's enough players to sustain something. But anyway, that's not the thing I remember best about Guild Wars. I remember Guild Wars cover art being the thirstiest I've ever seen. That's what I think of whenever I think of Guild Wars.
Eric,
just super thirsty.
Please give me
original Guild Wars cover art. Just pull it up, Eric.
It's so thirsty, dude.
Please.
Any of them.
It's a real testament to what we now call the goonerness of gamers.
It's super goony, yeah.
Goonerness, yeah.
There's one of them. That's
Eric pulled up a
box
picture
art
of
from
a man
factions, yeah.
reaching for a
water
bottle of water. I mean, the Guild Wars 2, they had expansions, right? And I just remember the vanilla box art, and then some of the expansion box art was always some lady with a sword and an exposed belly.
In Guild Wars 1, they're all.
And it reminded me of I remember hearing an anecdote once from somebody about how people arguing in a room about how short the skirt of one of the characters should be.
Dude, I've been in those meetings.
And you've been in them too, right?
Of those meetings.
There you go. There's a good example. That's fucking. I forget her name in Soul Calibur, but you could see the inspiration there. I think
11-year-old Jay seeing that box art. I was I'm playing this game.
I think it works. I mean, I'm not passing much of an opinion here. I guess maybe I'm rolling my eyes a little.
I think it works to a point. It's definitely not going to sell like gangbusters, and I have proof of this. If you think of that beach volleyball game from Japan,
Dead or Alive,
from Itagaki.
Dead or Alive, Extreme Beach Volleyball, playable with one hand.
I was like, why is it called Dead or Alive? Can we just
Because
like
it was
that
the,
sounds
it
like
was
a
the
fighting
honeys
game,
from
right?
Dead or Alive, the fighting game.
Oh, it is a
No,
fighting
but
game.
just
I've never
the
played Dead or
franchise
Alive.
called Dead or
No, no, no. Dead or Alive was a fighting game with ladies with
And then so
endowed-
they made a spin-off
you know.
volleyball game. I see.
Right, yeah, exactly.
say
And it was
boob
playable
physics.
with one hand. I'd like to reiterate that.
It is?
Yeah. Not Dead or Alive. No fighting games playable with one
No,
hand.
the
Dead or
volleyball
Alive.
game?
Dead or Alive, Extreme Beach Volleyball was playable with one hand. Yeah. There you go. Thank you, Eric. So we pulled up a picture.
That sold Goonbusters.
Busters.
Yeah,
That-
and that's
my
not the
only point in
bestseller
mentioning
list
this is-
anywhere.
What's that?
It's because they don't want to admit
bestseller
it.
list anywhere.
Do you know like how you
I,
can
um,
hide all of the not safe for work games on Steam with a checkbox? That's what they do on the bestsellers list. Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball is the highest selling game of all time. They just don't want you to know.
No, it's not.
It's a cover up.
Yeah, it's a cover up. Of course, it's not, Tina.
Stupid.
Someone
Actually,
in the
did you know
chat-
every Wii from Nintendo came with a free copy of Dead or Alive Beach Extreme Beach Volleyball? Because it did.
Really?
No.
Oh my God.
I'm not sorry. I'm half paying attention. Itamon said, "As a gay man, I want a male version of this game," and I feel like there is.
Is
No,
it?
never mind. No, I was going to say I'm remembering a very penis-based game, but it was not sexy at all. Genital jousting. Not very
Yeah.
sexy. No, not very male attractive.
Very
I would say.
unsexy. That game makes
Very
me ashamed
unsexy.
that I have
actually.
a penis.
Oh my
It's
God.
just the penis and then another penis flying at each other.
All right, I'm going to carry on with these.
Where were we?
Before we
Let's
derail
carry
too
on.
much, we got a couple more. True Mando comes in. What's up, Mando? And says, doesn't say $5, but gave $5. It says, "Oh, I'm late." And I'm sure this was already said, but Hades 2 early access was the first and only early access purchase. And if all early access was like that, I'd never question it. Well, that's the thing, right? You have the negative outliers that sour the pot for the rest. But yeah, Hades, Supergiant Games, like they've done an amazing job of their early access. And as someone who reluctantly has been playing the early access of Hades 2, because I'm making a video on it and I need to play it, the polish in that early access, it is just the game. It's nuts. Like, it's unbelievably good. I've had my socks blown off. And they should be proud. It's really, really cool.
Thumbs up.
Next. Oh, more
I have no
True
anecdotes.
Mando.
I will not be distracting. Go ahead.
$2 from True Mando again. It says, as an audio medium, please describe the first. Okay, so we're
Oh, let me
regressing
jump in
back
on
to
this
the
one, Jay.
previous topic.
I got
Yeah, you got
I know
this.
you're the
see.
Guild Wars king, but I'm the prince of thirst, I guess. Eric, pull up
There we
another
go.
Guild Wars cover art. No, it's just to describe it. What I was saying was
can you put the quiver in your lip too?
the quiver in my lip. Well, that
And
person
describe
listening
the
is
quiver.
audio, so they won't notice.
No,
I'll come closer, though, if that makes it better.
You can enunciate it. And you
I
can
can enunciate quiver. Basically, all the guild for people who are listening and not seeing, all the Guild Wars cover arts are just very sexy, right? The ladies have dubious armor, exposed bellies, and cleavage and shit like that. And it was from an era of game marketing where that was what you did to get noticed on the shelf. You appealed to children's, or I guess teenagers' brains, right? So, I mean, that's fine. I'm not passing too much of an opinion on it. It kind of makes me roll my eyes, and I'm glad we moved away from that. And the medium's a little more, adult. And but then again, we have
It works, though.
There's plenty of Gooner shit out there right now. I mean, look at half the live service skins for most games nowadays.
Also, like, you
Eric
don't.
just did something here.
Oh, yeah.
I found the male equivalent of beach volleyball. Retired. The game is on Steam. It's called Retired Men's Nude Beach Volleyball League. Obviously inspired by Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball. Not very sexy, but very. Ooh, okay. Yeah, we got some tan lines going on here. Interesting.
I also think, like, to unironically stay on this topic and then quickly get off it. It also, like, that kind of era of just, like, put a hot person on cover works because, like, as a child, I wanted Beyond Good and Evil because of that. And
Yeah, she was
Jade,
cute.
the main character, she was like my first ever video game crush. I was really young.
Oh my God, are we
So
talking
it
about
like
first
works.
video game
It made
crushes
me
now?
get the game. Huh? What was that, Tina?
Are we talking about video game crushes now?
What's yours?
Oh God. I'm embarrassed.
You don't know offhand?
No.
You're embarrassed.
I'm
You should know.
embarrassed.
I know offhand.
What's it, Sonic?
No, I
you
know
freak?
offhand. I'm just embarrassed.
It's a tie. It's a tie between Natasha from GoldenEye and Meryl from Metal Gear Solid 1.
Natasha on N64.
She looked cute. It was her hair, I think.
Her face
Dude,
was just like,
That 3 polygon face. Oh my god, to die for.
There must have been at least 6. There she is.
That's 1. That's 1 polygon. That's a flat fucking.
Zoom in. Maybe it's just because she's dressed in teal or turquoise and I like the
Look at
color.
her.
Maybe I saw the movie first as a child and I was like, wow, she's attractive. Then I got to look at her as much as I wanted on the N64
Look at
because
her.
it was a video game.
That's
He's like,
amazing.
look at that waist.
Look at that face. Look at that hair.
Meryl's okay, hold on. Can we explain this a little bit? Pull up Meryl, please, Eric. Meryl from Metal Gear Solid 1. Because she's got the tough girl attitude, right? She's got another. Maybe I like girls with short hair. That's weird.
Him dying.
Jay did that for me, dude.
Did she? Oh, because she had short hair too.
She had really
Look
short
at that. Look at how tough and strong that independent woman is. And look
I
at
like
her
it when my
fucking
women's
clavicle.
arms
Holy
attach to
shit!
their
Look at
clavicle.
her. Look at her. What's that?
It's the arms, dude. It's when you look like you're put together like Lego, rock solid.
It looks drawn on. Yeah, you're totally right.
Mhm.
Dude,
Fungus
you're
Finder
making me
says she
cry
has
from
no
my
eyes.
nose. She has no
Eye from your
eyes.
nose. Okay, Meryl's sexy. Meryl's cool if you like tough chicks. I mean, it's as simple as that.
All right. Okay. Mine is Soap from the original Modern Warfare series.
Oh wow!
So?
Is
I thought
it
he
the
was
mustache?
Tina, you never see Soap's face in the original Modern.
No,
wait, you're talking about Modern
two.
Warfare 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so you like guys with fucking little mohawks? Is that what we're? He's also pretty.
Yeah, what is he?
That's
look
not
like? Can you
original.
pull it up?
That's not original, Eric. That's
Ew,
new.
no.
You gotta go to the
Ew,
original.
no. Mm-mm.
Oh,
Are
Tina
you
doesn't
saying
like the
ew?
glow
That's
down.
mean.
Mm. Yeah, I can say ew.
Dilo Cortex says Soap is a
Doesn't
solid
like the
choice
chin
on
strap
this.
beard.
Hold on, let me get.
No,
another look
that's
at Soap from-
no, that's not him. Oh my god, that is not.
Let me get a look at Soap from 2008. I'd like to judge this man and see if he's worthy of Tina.
Eric's just gonna pick up a picture of a bar
Eric's
of
just
soap.
Johnny Soap McTavish. We never learn why he's called Soap, do we? Do you know, Tina? Because you have Call of Duty background. Why'd they
No,
call him
the-
The
Soap?
first thing they say is like, "Soap, what kind of a name is that?" Right?
Yeah,
No,
that's
doesn't
Johnny
matter.
Soap
Google,
McTavish.
just Google
Eric, we
another
know.
picture. We're looking
But
for Modern Warfare
that's
2.
Modern Warfare 2 2022. We're talking about Modern Warfare 2 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Eric. You sound like the AI in Escape.
There's no way that's not him. That's like the worst screenshot. Like, so
For all the listeners, we are currently waiting for Eric to pull up Tina's crush so we can all point and laugh.
Hold on. Wait a second. I don't know your specific age, Tina, but you must have had a crush before, a video game crush before 2008, no? Who was the first one? While Eric pulls up Johnny Soap McTavish. Tina's thinking. She's thinking long and hard. Speaking of
There he
long
is.
and hard, let's take a look at
okay.
Soap McTavish.
What was the-
He's
what
here.
was the-
He's here, Tina.
Soap's here.
There he
I'll
is.
speak with
There
you,
he
Tina.
is.
This
Hey,
is your
girl.
crush?
What was it?
Yeah.
What was it that
It's the
that
Mohawk.
attracted you? Is it the mohawk?
Look at that
it's-
bad boy.
The arms?
He
Knees?
looks like he can protect you.
Well, he's got a
Those
gun.
jeans
I mean,
scream protect
I hope. He's got a gun, a load-bearing vest, probably some plates, a handgun.
Oh my god.
He's probably got some medicine in that fanny. I'm sure that he would protect you very well.
Okay. Tales of No, is it Tales of Symphonia? Maybe
Tales of Symphonia. That sounds familiar.
the main character, or maybe like Final Fantasy.
He's cute.
10,
Yeah.
Final Fantasy X.
I have a vague memory of you saying something about Street Fighter. Did you like a guy in
Street
Street Fighter?
Oh yeah,
Maybe not.
doused him, dude. Wrap those arms around me.
My big boy crush was Valdo from Soul Calibur.
Mm.
Titus. Yeah, maybe Titus from Final Fantasy X. Maybe, I don't know. Not really.
Someone here in the
No.
chat
Right.
says the guy from Deus Ex. Yeah, JC Denton had a cool confidence to him, and he had a nice
Oh my
voice.
God.
I'm we have a so we're not on this topic for the rest of eternity. We've got a
Wait,
Sorry, Jay.
Ko-Fi dono from Mirith, which is what promises, implicit and explicit, do you think early access give the players / backers? What promises? the game will be good eventually.
That the game's going to be supported in some capacity from the developer, right? That at some point you'll get an update and an improvement.
Yeah,
of
which isn't
something.
always true, right? Like, let's look at some abandoned ones.
Really?
Yeah, they exist.
Are you sure it's early access or is it Kickstarter?
Yeah, I'm looking up abandoned early access games. Yeah, apparently NGU Industries, apparently Airport Master. This is all from Steam.
I've never heard of these.
Caval. I can't even read that. Total Miner, Cars with Guns. It's About Time.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, a lot of these are still in early access and haven't had updates since 2016, 2020, 2018. Yeah, they've just been abandoned. So they take money and then just leave. So it happens. So
Seems like
it's still
from
good to be wary.
companies that are not really have the reputation or
Yeah.
I don't know how to phrase this better, but
Yeah,
like
you just need to make sure you put your
proven track record or notoriety.
maybe that list was outdated. Apparently, NGU Industries is free to play. One's at Eric. But I was looking at a list on Steam. It might be slightly outdated, but they do exist. Games that have been abandoned from early access. So I think a lot of the promises are we're going to support the game. We're going to see it to fruition. We're going to see it to 1.0, and you can help us do that. And we're going to listen to you. I think if you're going to put into early access and just ignore your fans' feedback,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
All right. I do want to talk about Skate.
I'd love to talk about Skate. Are you wearing your hoodie?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, me too, girl.
Right.
Mikey, get them shoes.
You
Do I
know,
gotta-
wearing
okay,
a
I'll
hoodie
get-
with long hair
I'll get
doesn't make
shoes.
sense.
For a repeat of the joke before, I have my silly game developer shirt on, but because I wanted to feel included in like a skater, I brought my Vans out. So let's go ahead and talk about Skate. And I'll just hold them right here for the entire half hour.
So, Skate is relevant.
I'm amusing Tina. For those of you who are listening and can't see, my Vans are black and white, and they're quite clean.
Lick 'em.
They're
Did
partially
you-
clean. I would
Did you
say.
listen to the Vans song growing up?
What was the Vans song
No.
growing up?
You've never
I don't
heard
know.
of Van? What was
Sing
it? I got my Vans on. Oh God, what was it?
Sounds
Vans.
familiar.
Sorry, I'll look it up.
You look it up. Continue, Jeff.
Oh,
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
Pack. It's from the Pack in 2006, and it's just called.
Got
So, Skate is out. People have been waiting for a new Skate game for a long, long time. There have been many other games that have been trying to fill that gap because a lot of people, myself included, have been waiting for a big AAA Skate game for a long, long time. I believe the original team was disbanded and put onto other projects. And I think for a while now, it's been 3 or 4 years. They've been working on Skate Full Stop TM, trying to make it into a forever live service game rather than giving it a number. And they've made the decision to bring it out in early access. It's been in an alpha state with a lot of playtests for the last, I think, 2 years. But they brought it to early access, and I think it's a very interesting choice, mainly because it's free. So we were actually able to play it yesterday.
That was us. Look at
That is like the perfect image, Eric, because we were all referencing how it was very
Hold on,
hello fellow kids.
Jay, why don't you explain for those who are listening what's on the screen right now, and I'll try.
Okay,
to
so what's
orient
on the
my
screen
face.
is the Steve Buscemi meme of "Hello, fellow kids" with him dressed as a skater holding a skateboard. And why this is relevant is because a lot of the dialogue in the game is very.
it was the delivery, honestly.
Yeah, it's very "Hello, fellow kids," using a lot of language where it sounds like someone who doesn't know what any of the skater lingo means is saying all the skater lingo.
Yeah.
And
What was
it's
some
kind of
of it?
off-putting.
It was the way it was delivered too, and the person they chose to deliver it. It's like, wow,
Yeah,
that was
I
a
think
real
the actor.
shred.
I think the
Yeah.
actor shred.
Well, they're
as
meant
they
to be
say.
AI, right? They're meant to be a little app saying it, but it still comes off
Right,
as very.
but
"Hello,
it's
fellow
still.
kids."
It was so bad.
It's a weird middle ground. Like it's supposed to be, I as far as like the director goes, I don't think they directed the actor very well, or the lines were just too awkward to be comfortably delivered. Like
There
it
was
was
a
the
lady
writing.
and what was she saying? Like, I don't know. Nice kickflip. That was yeeted. I don't even fucking know. Like, it was just
That was yeeted. That was yeeted. No cap.
Yeah.
One of the
You were
lines
really
was
busting
I
on
heard
that.
it.
That was
I was playing with
bussin'.
friends, and one of the lines was I just like teleported to like a bus stop, and when I got off the bus, they were like, "Buses do be running," and I was like,
Oh,
"Fucking
God.
what?"
It would have been so much
That's-
better if they just went full Valley Girl with it. Buses do be running. And you're just
I would
like,
be
"Yeah, girl,
bowling. I'd
let's
be
go."
so happy. I'd be like, "Yeah, girl, they do be running,"
Yeah.
but in fact, they'd be driving.
What a gnarly kickflip.
I think it's not helped where like
This spot
part of the
is
reason
lit.
why it's so noticed is the tutorial is pretty long and
yeah.
it's very verbose, and it's kind of like it makes sense because of all the things you need to teach, but it's tough. Being funny in games is very hard. You got to be very careful about that shit, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what I was curious about, because the very first question they ask you when you start the game is how much you like skateboarding culture, right?
Yeah.
And if I was like, fuck yeah, like if I picked the best option, does that mean I can skip the tutorial? Because I totally would have.
I think there's things of like I said that I was really into skate culture because I am. Like I skated a lot when I was younger, and
Did you?
like I still watch YouTubers like skate all the time. And I think someone else did it. I don't think my tutorial was different. I think it gives like slightly different dialogue, and I think it doesn't offer you, if you say you played skate originally, I don't think it offers you the simplified controls. I think it like stays as the OG controls. I could be wrong though, because I haven't gone back and tested it, but it does do a massive effort to try and make sure that like how into skating you are. And I think one of the things that, as playing with you guys and also spending the entire evening last night playing with friends who are big fans of skate, one of the things I kept having to remind my friends was that this game is early access. They were like, why doesn't it have this feature that Skate 3 had? Why doesn't it do this? Why doesn't it do that? And I was like, the game's not out, right? It's like you are play testing the game right now. And now I've put close to 20 hours in, the more I play, the more I fall in love with it. Like it's really, really fun, and it's really, really polished. And a lot of people don't really agree with the art style changes. Skate 3 and 2 were a little bit more gritty and grimy. And now this is, my friends calls it like sim skating. Like it feels like The Sims. And it's getting a little bit of Fortnite-y, and there are pros and cons to doing that. But I think the actual core of it, the actual skating, is like impeccable. And some of the things that I want to take you guys to do is we started climbing skyscrapers last night, and then diving off of them, and then quickly getting back on our skateboards and like carving out bowls on skyscrapers, and then like flying miles. It was, and we just stand there and go, we need to land there in the distance, and you need to land on your board. Like you need to make sure you land. And we would just spent hours last night on this one spot trying to land in this big orb. Yeah, not even a challenge. We set them ourselves, right? It was ludic play. And it's super fun, and like navigating from challenge to challenge was super interesting because the act of traveling is the fun in the game. I think it's a really interesting place.
I was like,
yeah, right.
I don't know, man.
Christina got off her board and just ran. She just wanted to hang out. The skateboard to her was an accessory to appearing to be a cool skater, but she's
yeah,
fake.
my deck isn't cool enough yet, so I was like, fuck this.
Yeah, you need to play more. But one of the things I want to talk about with Skate is specifically, because I know you have a lot of opinions on this, Tina, is the monetization of it and the really high focus on fashion. Because one of the things you can only really monetize in this free game is fashion. And fashion is a huge part of skate culture. And a friend of mine had a lot of frustrations. So, for example, for all the listeners, in the game, it's completely free. The game's fully access. You have full access to the game at all times. But what they do is, as you do challenges, you get these like rip currencies, rip bucks.
They call
the
it
V-Bucks.
currency, right? Rip.
Yeah.
It's ripped.
It's ripped. And what you do is you use them to spend money on loot boxes that
Yeah.
will contain like between like 10 to 12 items, and every time you open that specific loot box you get an item. There are no duplicates, and once you've got all of the items from that box, you're done with the box and you can move on to the next ones. Through this you can target specific items like grip tape and boards and hats and stuff like that, so you kind of get to choose what you get. Yeah. You get stickers, you get decks, you get trucks, you get wheels. We only played for a short time last night, but there's a lot more to it. But they were showing frustration that all of
you get custom trucks, like you can't even see that shit.
Yeah, well,
Sorry.
you can pick them up, and like when you're skating and doing tricks and like
Sure, I guess.
making the videos in slow-mo, you can see them and stuff. But the frustration my friend had, who's a veteran of the skate series, and a skater himself, was frustrated that a lot of these free loot boxes didn't have much branded apparel in it. So Vans shoes, for instance, everyone wants a pair of Vans shoes. Only a couple of the late game boxes you could open were that had Vans shoes in them, but there were Vans shoes available in the shop to pay real money for.
I see.
And he was extremely frustrated by this, and we had a wonderful debate about it because I was like, yeah, but dude, this game's free. You can play this game for nothing forever. And you can still get Vans stuff. It's just going to take you time to play it and get it. Or you can pay money, and that goes directly to supporting the game's life cycle.
Yeah.
But he was like, it's so important for me in skating and in skate games to use fashion as a way to express myself, and some of that is locked behind a paywall at the moment, and I don't like that. And I'd love to get your guys' opinion on this.
So a couple things. Etnies are better than Vans, so that guy sucks.
Damn.
Damn.
You tell him. You tell
Sorry,
him.
Go, Tina.
I grew up watching
fully
that stuff too.
engage.
Did you watch
Fully
Tony
engage
Hawk's
with the
Pro Skate Tour?
commercialism.
I fucking love
Let it
that
flow
show.
through you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sorry, I watched this stuff. So a couple things. I agree with you. Like if you're not paying anything for this game, paying for your Vans is obviously a great incentive to help put money towards the game that you're playing for free.
Yeah.
Vans though? Sorry. Anyways.
Do you?
I know. Like, oh God, where are yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. I do think that it is in my opinion, like a great like give and take from the developer. It's like I give you free game. You play, you give me money by getting the item of clothing or whatever that you want. Right?
Yeah.
Like fair. I don't think that's bad. The fact that they put because it's early access, they could change the loot boxes to include the Vans that he likes at some point.
Yeah.
That's the nature of loot boxes. They can always change on a dime whenever the devs want, right? So that could be something that happens later on, but I don't feel bad getting unbranded clothing in the loot box, which is interesting because I think there's also a basic understanding of fashion that's going on that guys don't really like to appreciate or understand in game culture, right? Like the wider fashion industry has a huge impact on this. So I'm just curious, like what the developers are using. I think that to partner with a branded shirt or shoe or whatever requires licensing, right? Like
it's
a
complicated to
contractual
get in.
agreement between EA and whatever the company is. So
Vans or chocolate or and
then like so maybe they don't do, so they have Vans in the game already, so they have that license, right? So I'm curious to see how far they take it. Are they gonna get like World Industries in the game?
Like
Globe,
how legit
are they gonna get?
For sure. Well, one of the things that I think is really fascinating about the game and really lends itself to the free nature and the live service nature of it is, and they currently have this. There is currently a skate tournament happening. I think it's called Dime. It's happening in real life, and like as we speak. And what they've done is they've recreated that skate tournament's entire arena in game, and you can go skate and do challenges in the exact same arena people are using in real life. and
cool.
they change the arena I think it's every day or few days, and in game the arena changes to have all the same spots, and that's really cool. And currently you can buy in the shop apparel that's based around that event that's happening. And once that event's done, you're not going to be able to buy it anymore. So while the real event's happening in real life, you can go in game, you can skate the same spots, you can buy apparel in game, which I'm sure those brands get a percentage of those sales.
Sure.
So you're actively supporting skate, like those skate brands while playing the game, and you're supporting the game's like life cycle. I think that's incredibly fascinating. I haven't heard of any other game do anything similar to that.
What do you mean?
Like replicating real world things in real time and being
like the wrestling games do the WWE
in
games
real time, I see.
and like those.
Oh, do they in a sense?
Maybe
of,
not
like,
real
when
time.
there's a match happening, you can play that match or something. I don't know. I don't play this WWE game.
Maybe I'd have to do my research, but I believe they do.
Yeah.
They keep them very up to date, like year over year, with whatever the intro move is for the wrestler, right, or whatever the beef is. That I think they represent that, and then I think also this isn't as good of a comparison, but obviously sports games, right? Like they're pretty up to date. This isn't as real time as what you're saying, though. So maybe I shouldn't mention it because you're talking about something where it's like week by week, month to month. They're updating the the arena
there's
to
a
look
thing
like
happening, so they change it, and I think that's really fascinating. It does raise an interesting point, though, and one of my only criticisms. I do not like it in game shops where they use FOMO, fear of missing out, as an incentive to buy. So, for instance, everything in the real world money shop in Skate is on a timer. So some of them reset every day, some of them reset every week, and they will cycle out new clothes and new things, which I think makes sense when you have like the dime. I hope I'm saying that correct. The dime event that's happening, because that's only happening for a specific time. So it makes sense that that's a limited time thing. It's a limited time event. But to have like basic, so for instance, I bought golden trucks from the store.
Okay.
And they are no longer available in the store. They were only available on the day of release. Yeah. I have no idea if they are going to come back at all. They might.
Yep.
But now I'm constantly thinking, okay, well, I got golden trucks. I'm going to wait till they do golden wheels and they do a golden deck. And then I'm going to have a golden deck and I'm going to love it. And then somebody goes, wow, that's a sick golden deck. I've got money. I want to get that. And I go, well, you can't. You should have been playing for the last 3 months and checking every day.
So okay.
I just think that's a bit of I understand why it's done. I just think it's a little bit of it's one of those things where it tries to make that game your entire thing. Or it's similar to doing daily challenges and stuff like that. And I think it's a little bit unhealthy. And yeah, what's your thoughts on timed cosmetics?
Go
ahead,
go ahead, Tina.
Mikey.
Yeah.
No, you go ahead.
I'm not a big fan of timed cosmetics. In these kinds of conversations, I always try to think about it in terms of it's very nebulous, right? What's the best strategic move? Like what makes the most money and what's the least annoying to the least amount of players?
Yeah.
I feel like FOMO is pretty universally disliked. FOMO meaning fear of missing out, and having limited time cosmetics, you create that fear of missing out. I feel like you could still get the money that you need to develop your game and add the things you want if you don't do the things I'd want to avoid and think that I think studios shouldn't do is don't do the FOMO shit, don't do the limited timeness, and also don't do the like anything loot box related, which is mostly illegal now, fortunately.
It's illegal in Belgium. I don't know if it's illegal on the rest of the world. Is it?
I thought there were more Euro countries that banned it, and then that was a big part of why
it's
the
illegal
industry
enough
got
that
it.
people have
I
just
haven't
stopped
been
doing
paying
it
attention.
whatsoever. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'd have to double check. I'm not sure myself, but it's definitely happened less now, and I think that's good.
Yeah.
And because I think gamers kind of understand that. Okay, so just charge for the cosmetics. Don't do pay to win, gameplay oriented or enhancing stuff. That's fine. Don't do FOMO. Don't do. Eric's got a picture of some golden shorts here, distracting
Golden
me.
trunks.
Golden trunks. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Like for your skateboard, of course.
Yeah.
Haha.
Tina said it. Tina said it in the chat. So trucks are the hardware that you attaches to the board, and you put your wheels on. It's that metal section that holds the wheels. That's
Yes.
the truck. Yeah.
So I think
So mine are gold in game. Yeah.
yes, and we're all proud of you.
I
for
can't
that.
see them, so I don't care.
So I think that I feel like
MTX.
if you're gonna go and say no FOMO, you're gonna do a cosmetic design where you say no limited time stuff, no loot boxes. You need to ensure some amount of money coming in, especially if it's a free game. I don't know what Skate's eventually going to be, but let's assume it's going to stay free. And I feel like it kind of sucks, but it's fair. I agree with you ultimately, Jay, that if you want to charge for just the branded stuff, that's how you're going to do it. It does make me kind of, I guess, a little psychically sad in like this is the world we live in, right? Like we're only going to pay real life money for the proper branding and the proper symbol on your clothing. It's but that's kind of how our society works. Like I'm not really going to complain about that.
It exists
or get
though.
too
I don't
upset
want
about
people
it.
to think it doesn't. I got a Thrasher hat and Vans shoes out of those free loot boxes, which might I add, you open like one of those loot boxes every 10 minutes. Like they're
Well,
not
it's the direct purchase is what you're saying. You direct buy branded stuff, and otherwise you just have to get lucky.
a lot of specific branded stuff. There is branded stuff in the loot boxes. Like it does exist, and you can eventually get a bunch of branded stuff from just playing for free. If none of it was in, it was just generic stuff, that would suck. But it does exist.
Are there brands like, let's just say Vans, Tina's favorite, that you can only get through paying real life money for, not through a box?
There's a really nice like Japanese Thrasher hoodie that you can get. That is
Only if
only
you buy
available
it
in the
direct.
store right now.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is, I'm sure, a Thrasher hoodie
Do they
in the
have Santa
free
Cruz stuff
packs.
in the game?
Not as far as I've
Tina's all
seen.
excited. Fucking Southern Californian, look at you.
But like, isn't that cool? How like we all have favorite brands in this sense, and we're like, oh well, I'm looking forward to when those brands come to the game, and I can use those and rep them and stuff like that. And
So
that's
yeah, I just wanted to add to this MTX conversation because the goal of a great MTX designer is always going to feel
Make money and don't annoy people. That's been mine.
icky to the rest of the developers or like community at large if they do their job properly,
Yeah.
right? Because their goal is to make money.
it's
You got to be
antithetical to the end
tasteful.
user.
Hold on, because I feel like I have the most. Not to toot my own horn, I've done a bunch of this with a brand, Insurgency, that was very sensitive because it's realistic, quote unquote, military shooter, and you got to. I said that a little in a silly way or in a pithy way. What I really think a good monetization designer has to do is don't be fair and not annoying. Like don't annoy people. Be tasteful, fit your theme, and also make money. Like all of them are actually equally important, I think, right? They're because they're all connected. And I feel like what Skate's doing seems to fit all of that. The brand stuff is like it's fine. I mean, it's if it's a free game, go for it. Like whatever. If some people don't like your friend, like I get it, but they do need to make their money somehow. And like there's a lot worse versions of monetization than this. And if the game's
that's the
free,
question,
like
right?
it's I get that. Look, there's other evils here too, under the water, so to speak, or like there's an iceberg here of like by creating effective monetization models, we kind of create situations like we're in right now with gaming, where you have live service games that go on forever, and you get people that buy in way too much, and they're not playing other games, and those studios go under because somebody else wants to like move and try something new because they're so invested. So like, there's other problems with these models. I'm not trying to not acknowledge them.
Yeah,
I'm saying if you're gonna do it, I mean, this kind of makes sense. It doesn't feel too exploitative. I mean,
because the other question is, how else would you? Because this is the question I posed to my friend when he was complaining about the microtransactions.
So this is the tough part for me, and I just want to just get in there and interrupt you guys. This is optional, like purely optional, to have this stuff. You can play Skate, you can enjoy all the features, and you don't have to have your Vans. The fact that he's upset about it means he just doesn't want to pay, which, I mean...
But then he went and paid anyway.
Yeah. So,
he was like, oh, wait, you paid? Oh, okay. I feel justified now. I'll pay. I'm like, you're supporting the devs. If you like this game, support it.
And, you know, someone says that's terrible to say, Tina. Like, well, you're not paying for this game. You're not, right? you can just download it and play with your friends, which is weird because when we downloaded this game, I don't want people to come in with the expectation that you're going to like grind with your friends right away. We spent like an hour or maybe 40-ish minutes just doing the tutorial to get to jail.
Yeah, but that's also because you guys are unfamiliar with the kind of unique system of the game, right? Like, it didn't take me 40 minutes to get through the tutorial. It took me
fine.
Well, hold on,
minutes.
Jay. Let's think about this for a second. This is a different conversation. We don't have to get into it now. It's about tutorial design. Think if all three of us were as ignorant as Tina and me.
Came off and he just...
No, listen.
Be
quiet.
Jay, I'm with Tina on this one. If you were as ignorant as Tina and I were, and we all jumped into Skate together, we would have been asking. It would have taken longer. I'm like, wait, so am I with you
it would have
now?
taken a long
How do I
time,
invite you? Wait, when's the tutorial over? How do I do a mission together? Now it's early access, so be it. But they put a lot of resources in the tutorial, man. It made it hard to play.
But they have to, right? Because I will say that I sympathize with the developers with the tutorial. Because I'll be real, the tutorial doesn't stop. All of the main missions of the game are just teaching you new things. Because I don't think, and this is why I was saying when we were playing yesterday, Tina, when you were like, is this the game? What's happening? What are we doing? And I was like, you have seen 1% of this game. Is because it is so complicated how you interact with the game systems, and how you control this game is so different compared to every other game that they have to teach it,
where
right?
I was coming from with this, right?
Yeah.
I grew up playing Tony Hawk's Skate Park. Like, just play the Tony Hawk games, right? I could get lost in it for hours just playing them, listening to the soundtrack. So what I was trying to do yesterday in Skate that I couldn't figure out is just gaining more momentum when I was in the pipe. Like, how do I get higher so I can do tricks?
Yeah.
I couldn't figure that out. It felt like I was always the same height, no matter what I did.
Cutting out, Tina.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Basically, I was in the pipe and I was trying to get higher and higher, and I couldn't. I was kept at the same height no matter what I did.
Yeah.
Right, and I was getting frustrated by it. Can you actually gain more speed?
Yes, you
height?
can. You can gain more speed by pushing, and you can also pump on the pipes.
That's the weird thing. So I don't know what I was doing wrong. Maybe I needed to for that. But when I was playing Tony Hawk, that was not something that I had to go out of my way to learn.
For sure,
right?
Yeah.
And
I understand that
also,
criticism.
I had like the 360 camera rotation in Tony Hawk, so I could see where I wanted to go next, which you don't have in Skate, right?
Well,
And
that's
to be
because
fair,
the entire tricks system is based on the right stick, so you can't turn. Yeah.
you could put it on bumper. I don't know. So it was interesting as a Tony Hawk player to come into this and try to like learn. And yes, there was a huge learning curve for me. Familiar with skate culture, familiar with Tony Hawk. So that was interesting for me to experience. And, you know, the game's free, so like, who am I to complain about it? It was still fun.
Yeah.
I still had fun.
It's a complex system, right? Like the whole way, anyone who hasn't played Skate, the way you do is you move with the left stick, and then the right stick is used different. I'll just grab a controller. Different like flicks of the right stick will do different tricks. And it originally starts with just like going up is an ollie, going slightly to the left or right is a heel flip or a kick flip, and then it gets more complicated with like how you orientate and how you combo those together will do loads more tricks. And because of that, you have access to so many more tricks in Skate than you do in Tony Hawk. Because then you combine all the triggers, but the game doesn't front load all of that because it's unbelievably
difficult,
unbelievably complicated, right?
Yeah.
But I do think they could do a better job of onboarding, and I don't think the Hello Fellow Kids AI tutorials are helping that because it just feels gross.
That's more of a minor. Go ahead, Tina.
I just, for an early access game, front loading everyone experiencing the tutorial makes sense because it's huge and it can take quite a generous amount of time.
I think there needs to be in these situations, tutorial design is very hard, and it's the least sexy part of game development, or one of the least sexy, certainly one of the least sexy
I'm
parts
making
of
my
design.
tutorial for my game as we
Yeah,
speak.
it sucks, right? It's really hard,
Yeah.
and it's not cool. And you want to be like, I want to add this new content, or I want to add this new feature. I want to pour over the spreadsheet of the system that I made, or like whatever. But no, like tutorials, it's very tough. It's iterative. You have to be humble, and I think this is a good example of something I wish more games did, which is you can not just skip the tutorial, but just have like a fast, clear track to the I just want to play with my friends, and I'll learn through my friend who knows what they're doing, right? And also, like, I don't know, like prioritize a little bit. Like maybe the go faster mechanic should have been taught a little bit earlier. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'd have to play through it again and think a little more critically. But maybe that's part of why Tina doesn't know how, is because it wasn't properly taught to her. And that's not talking shit.
It wasn't in the beginning tutorials section.
But it's also, even if it was, like hypothetically I'm saying, let's say it was, it's one of 25 things that were taught to you, ba, 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 ba. And neither of us, like we played Tony Hawk. I also played Tony Hawk. I didn't play any of the skate games.
Me too.
Yeah.
So, and we're not like bad gamers. Like we were intuitive and we're at normal levels at least. So it's I think there's something to be said for refining a tutorial experience and not being too verbose, and allowing for option to just get the hell out of it and just get to the friend experience. That's what I think is important.
Because that's the
gonna be
unique thing,
challenging
right?
for them. I just want to say, maybe in early access they learned this lesson. Like, you do have the impression that if you're booting this up with your friends, if you know nothing about the game, you'll be able to interact with you right away, and that's not the case. And I think that could really suck. But what were we going to say, Jay?
That's the culture, right? Like being taught how to skate by your friends is the culture.
Yeah.
And I think there's something where you could, if you could instantly get out of that, if you could instantly get out of that tutorial and then just be like, "Hey Jay,
Jay's cutting out a little bit for me. Can you hear me?
Which is
too. Oh no.
Okay. It sounds insightful. The tone sounds very insightful. I'd like to hear it. Jay,
Jay.
we can't hear you.
Yeah, Jay got disconnected.
Oh, Jay got disconnected. Oh no, the camera's broke. We just lost Jay, everybody, folks, but that's okay.
I'll take up space until he gets back.
Hello?
Oh,
there he is.
Jay's back.
There we go.
Hello. Sorry, Jay. You
Okay.
started cutting out a little bit.
Yeah, apologies. So it's the culture. If you could skip the
to be
tutorial and just
social,
come
right?
in. Yeah, like if you could come in and just be like, "I've skipped the tutorial, Jay, how do I kickflip?" Or how do I do this? It's emulating the culture, but you can't count on people having friends, which is why they need a tutorial. But that's what we were doing last night. We, funnily enough, I couldn't talk because we were playing Skate while Jess was streaming last night. I mean, yesterday. So I was muted, and then Mikey and Tina would ask questions, and I'd either have to tab out and type it out, or we were on camera and I was like miming how to do things. And that was really fun. And it happened last night with my friends who are way better at Skate than I am. And he was like, "Oh, do you know how to like tombstone? Do you know how to do like Christ Air and stuff like that?" And I was like, "No."
Oh no, we lost him again.
And I could just go into the Skatepedia.
God damn
There
it.
he goes.
I do
Well, at
think
least it's happening at the end.
where he's
Go
going
ahead,
with
Tina.
this, I wanted to add to it. I want to add to what you were saying before you
Yeah,
cut
go
yourself
for it.
off. Yes, skate culture is very social, and I think that they're missing the bit here as because they're not capital. I do
Now
love
you're
the
fucking cutting
idea.
out, Tina.
Am
But
I?
yours is a hardware problem, I think. Yeah, dude. It's been
Dude.
happening even in previous streams.
Oh,
You gotta
fuck.
try leaning in and talking.
Okay. So I'm gonna just hold this.
There you go. Go.
Being able to learn through your friends or playing with strangers is a lot more fun than playing a tutorial. And I said what I said.
I said
Yeah,
what I
but
said.
you can't
Wow.
account
So
on it.
bold. Thank you. So brave of
But
you.
it's good to have the option.
Yes. No, I think we're all aligned on like the best take on a tutorial. Maybe let's talk a little more about Skate's approach to early access. How about? And what's special about that? For one, it's EA doing an early access game, which I don't think is unprecedented. It's been done, but still rare.
Like betas and
And
stuff.
It's totally free,
EA, early access.
right? Oh, look at that. EA. An EA
Yeah,
game that's
completely.
EA. So I think that I said this earlier in the call, in the podcast. I feel like early access, I described this to you guys. It's got a bit of a parabolic relationship, right? When early access started in Steam, at least, with like 2013, maybe even before with Minecraft and stuff, the idea of paying for a game and then getting a version of it and playing it and giving feedback, games have done that. Insurgency did that before Steam Early Access, even though we were one of the first to get on Steam Early Access. And I remember it being very positive because people were like, wow, I'm excited for a game. I just want to play it. I'll give you money and I'll just play it if it's a little broken. Games need to be fixed after they release anyway. So it was really high and up here. Then I feel like early access reputation got kind of low, where people thought, wow, there's all these, they would call them scams. It wasn't really clear like when a game could be trusted. You knew that you were just putting your faith in a developer that could easily just walk with the money, all that kind of thing. Then I think it kind of raised up a little more. And that's the last part of the parabola, where people went, okay, so we're going to have this 2-hour refund window within 2 weeks. We're going to have projects that I guess the consumer got a little more educated for like spotting bullshit and going, oh, that's an asset flip. Yeah. I know what that is. And they look away from it. I feel like Skate is coming in at the perfect time now because all the EA conventions have been tested and early access conventions specifically have been tested and explored. And they're going to get a lot of really good data about unlocking shit, about if people are pissed off by the monetization, about even if the art style is good enough. And then they can refine and iterate on all of that stuff and then wipe all of it because you have to wipe in that case. So I feel pretty good about that. Yeah. What do you guys think?
They've already got the data, right? Because I hope I don't cut out. I've been playing, and as I mentioned, doing the missions is how you unlock specific currency to get the loot boxes and also progress the game and learn more tricks and stuff. But from Steam achievements, I've not been playing long, less than 20 hours, and I got an achievement for complete 19 missions, which is nothing, right? Only 2.8% of players have that achievement, which means a lot of people aren't doing the missions. They're just going in to skate with their friends or just to skate by themselves.
Because it's a social thing.
Yeah. Tying all of their progression to doing missions, if the majority of the player base is not doing that, might not be the smartest thing. You might want to add it to, setting up your own sessions and getting points via just skating well or whatever, which I think is something they currently do. I haven't accessed it, so correct me if I'm wrong, chat. But they're already getting that data, which is fantastic. I'm like super fascinated to see how this game evolves.
Well, the nature of a mission in this game too is a little odd because it pulls you away from your friends and it puts you in like a single instance.
You can do them with friends, which we did last night with Mikee.
But not all of them are friend capable, right? Are they? I thought that there were
all of the story missions that teach you aren't friend capable. All of the ones that are in the world are, and there are loads. I still haven't done all of them in each area, which is kind of crazy. And it was really satisfying because in those challenges, they'd be like, hey, do X string of tricks in this area. And it was really hard. And we were a little bit torn on it, Mikey, weren't we? With the sense of only one person in the group had to fully complete the challenge and the rest just had to finish it. And then it would count for everyone.
That's true. But then there were other ones where everybody did have to do it. Like there was a challenge. Each of the 3 people doing the challenge had to complete it.
The session ones were combined. So the session ones where it's like get a certain amount of points or do a certain amount of tricks in a certain amount of time. Everyone did it together as brought all your points together. But in the ones where it's like, this is a line you have to do, heel flip up onto this ledge, manual across, and then do a double trick off of it. And then backflip in this next thing all in one go. As long as one person completes that complex string, everyone gets all the points and gets the currencies to buy stuff.
Well, I just want to hang out with you and just let you do it.
Exactly, but we thought, maybe that would feel negative, but it actually felt great because there were instances where we were really struggling on this line last night doing some of the semi-pro challenges. And we'd be on a mission for like 20 minutes, like, just, we can't get this. And then suddenly, like, me or my friend would suddenly get it, and we'd all fucking celebrate. We'd be like, yeah, like, oh my God, you did it, right? And again, that really emulated that culture of skating for me, of
social.
Watching yourself and your friends try and go for this complex trick and then seeing them get it. I was just like elated for my friend, and I'm getting rewarded. I'm getting in-game currency for being there and like watching it. That's kind of cool. So I really applaud that design.
There's a feature request for this game, and I don't think any of the devs are watching. But like Apex has this feature where they showcase the top player squad on billboards that are in the world.
Yeah.
So you can see, on the big screen who the top players are, squad. I don't see why they don't do that in Skate, because it's a whole city dedicated to skateboarding. You just put giant billboards. Maybe you showcase the coolest trick in that server that day, right? And
That's
then,
cool idea.
And then you could ask people in the server, like, how does she do that? And
Dina, you got to lean in. You're cutting out again. I don't know what it is.
And then when you see it happen, you're like, oh my God, how did they pull that off? Let's ask people on the server to find out.
I'm only laughing because you pointed out. I agree with that feature. That's cool. Good social engagement fits with what the game's trying to be an MMO, right? It's branding itself, I think, as an MMO.
Yeah.
It doesn't really feel like it. There's not a lot of like interaction, and there's no player collision because there probably shouldn't be.
I wanted to hit everyone in the world.
Savage.
I wanted to just
that would be pretty
like a
fucking
skating
funny.
troll. Crazy.
Maybe for April Fools. I mean, am I wrong there? Aren't they describing it as an MMO? Maybe they're not branding themselves.
If you go to the store page, and I know
that
a lot
would
of
be
these are
half
player.
the fun. Is just jumping in a server and just like trying to get in the way of people trying to jump.
You pointed something out, Tina. I wanted to call out. The city is completely empty.
Yeah.
It's like there's cars that drive through, but it's kind of an eerie space in general.
It's weird.
Yeah, there needs to be more trash. There needs to be
And
more
right now
things.
the collision with cars is scripted. So even if you hit a car, it'll send you flying like.
Oh no, I think you encountered a bug there. It's not.
It's not.
Yeah, I tested it after you said it. It's not fully scripted. It's all simulated. You just hit a bug and it like
A
flung
parked
you.
car, and it threw me across.
You went flying, yeah.
Street.
The physics, I want to shout out, like the actual systems and skating in that game are really good. The sound effects, the mocap animations they've done, like they are, when it pops off, it fucking pops off. And some of it's a bit goofy, like with the flying through the air and like doing stuff like that. But once you realize that allows you to access, like, and the Assassin's Creed climbing, once that allows you to like scale skyscrapers and find these like really weird spots that you wouldn't be able to do in real life but are obscenely fun. I'm glad those systems are there to allow for that kind of design. Yeah, I'm just really looking forward to seeing where this goes. It's the first early access game where I've been like, damn, this is a game. And I'm like really excited that they've put it here and we get to play it and see how this game evolves. I'm excited.
Looking at a lot of the Steam reviews, people seem to have similar issues that we're saying. Bugs, of course. People don't like the... Yeah, but that's fine. The cosmetic stuff, it does seem like people are annoyed by that. Nobody liked the dialogue, and a lot of people not liking the art style. A lot of these things, like, they're definitely changeable in early access. Some are like bigger lifts than others. I still think that as far as early access goes, this feels like a pretty great experiment, I guess, or if not experiment. This is a good use of early access, making it free, making it a multiplayer game, having it be something that's like a little more accessible as a genre, right? Like maybe it's a little, I mean, it's both casual and hardcore at the same time. And that's an interesting space to put an early access game. Jay, you and I were talking about it. Like, it's hard to do some tricks and sometimes it's hard to skate, but if you fuck up, you just kind of laugh and you ragdoll around. And
and then you just
keep playing with your buddies.
Respawn.
There's
go again.
Yeah.
I do appreciate the UI showing you what to do with the stick to pull off a trick.
Yeah,
That's
or like
awesome.
where to do certain tricks and stuff like that. It's like, do this in this area. It will always have the same image or like signifier of like a star, and then in the real world it will have a star over the area you need to do it. A lot of it's super clean and fits the aesthetic, and I really appreciate that. I wish that the AI bullshit wasn't really in the game, and by AI bullshit I don't mean they made the game with AI.
I mean the voiceover.
The tutorial is conceptualized as a app on like a phone, and it is like its AI assistant tells you where to go and what to do. That's why the voice lines are so like Nice kickflip. It's because it's an AI talking. It's meant to be an AI.
And it's why it says
speaking.
follow the AR line. It's an augmented reality line, but you're not looking through
Yeah.
your phone, so you might as well just make it a game HUD at that point.
I
feel
didn't
like.
notice that part.
I just wish it wasn't in there, but I understand why they need to do it for the tutorialization for people who don't have friends who are already familiar with it.
Shred. Just like,
Nice shred.
I feel so
The
old
bus
listening
is
to that.
running.
Yeah.
Well, to give us some credit, I think a lot of people were annoyed by that. It felt like pandering. I think pandering's the word here, right? Like it felt like
fellow kids.
Aping skate culture. Yeah, the hello fellow kids. Let's use the lingo as much and as fast as possible in a tutorial experience that can already be annoying with the way that it's structured. So, also no blood. No blood. I remember a lot of blood in Tony Hawk.
Yeah, people
That was
are
a
really
gruesome
upset that
fucking
Hall of
game.
Meat isn't in the game, which was in Skate 3 was a game mode where the only goal was to do as much damage to yourself as possible and build up an insurance bill.
Jeez.
And you would
That's
see
hilarious.
you would see like kind of similar to Mortal Kombat, like X-ray modes where you would see what bones you broke and what organs you damaged and stuff.
Yeah.
That's not Hall of Meat. That is a meat skin playing Skate 3. But people were really upset that that's not a thing in this game. There are stunt missions, but it's not as violent as it was in Skate 3. But talking to my friend about it as well, I was like, well, you need to realize the moment they include specific depictions of bones and skulls, they cannot sell it in China.
They can't? You can't
I'm
sell
almost certain a lot of China, like, I think it was the undead in World of Warcraft, had to remove all depictions of bones.
You can't depict vampire-ish creatures in China. That's a government mandate. for all
I thought it
games.
was bones specifically. So I
Bones?
might
I don't know
be
about that.
slightly.
I've
ignorant
heard
on
that about skulls, at least. I don't know. It's not clear to me yet because that's been a conversation on multiple teams I've been on where like what's not okay in China and does it make a difference or does it get sold anyway? I'm still a little unclear on the censorship and such.
But even to just a wider sense, blood and gore and bones breaking and stuff like that.
That changes the age rating, so
it changes the age rating, which changes
it's hard to have a
everything
free-to-play
massively.
game where you have to age gate it. It just makes it a little bit more challenging for the devs.
That's fair. I don't know. Maybe make it a free DLC. Can you get around it?
For everyone to like teen in America, I think.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll
In
add
Europe,
something
it's
the
probably
same.
mature.
You know.
So is it worth it to have blood at that point? Probably not.
If it's part of your vision, it's part of the appeal. Like I feel like I guess it really depends on what we're going to see now because it's early access. People are saying what they want to see. We're going to see how important that is to the brand of Skate. In a game like Burnout, if you couldn't crash cars, that's pretty important, right? It's pretty important to the series. With Skate, they're clearly experimenting a bit where they're like, well, what if we tried to bring in a younger audience? What if we didn't want to upset squeamish people? Let's see. And so far, it does seem like there's a lot of players who don't like that. So, I mean, I'm very curious about this game and to see where it is like 6 months to a year from now. Like, what are they going to change?
Agreed. Yeah. Hop in. Everyone if you're slightly interested, it's free. Hop in and come skate with me. Let's play. Let's kickflip over each other.
Let's kickflip on over to some of the donations. How about?
Oh yeah, have we got any new ones?
Got a couple.
Oh yeah, we got a couple, which we'll use to wrap up. The Brain Sturgeon, €6. Thank you so much. Said, bad joke. Jermaine, now that you've explained your familial connection to the pirate Mary Read, does that change your view on software piracy? Ooh.
I don't even know what he's talking about.
To clue
Mary
in the
Read.
listeners, my name is James Read, R-E-A-D, like read a book. And there is a famous pirate called Mary Read, who's one of the two famous female pirates, them and Anne Bonny, where they pretended to be men to become pirates. And my grandfather was adamant that we are descended from Mary Read. Like he would talk about it all the time. I think he's full of shit, but he also might be right. So I may be related to a famous pirate, and does that change my my view on software piracy? Not really. You know?
I feel like that's a bit of a Tina, your sombrero looks amazing. For everybody who's listening, Tina
Yeah.
has an AR sombrero, which
What
Eric
the hell? Where'd
gave
that
to
come
her.
from?
I don't know.
I
She
want
just
one
asked for it
instead.
in the chat. She's
I
doing this
want one
Valley Girl
instead.
voice, and I guess she's feeling a little spoiled, a little
I want a
diva-like maybe.
sombrero and skate. Oh, that's cool that you're a pirate. That's cool.
No,
Well, we don't know.
My grandfather's
He-
adamant. We don't
No,
know.
just roll with it. A
Dude,
pirate
the
magician,
surname
like,
Reed.
There's gotta be.
This-
She brought up the
I'm
magician thing.
skeptical.
She found a way. She did it.
Tina was talking before the podcast, and she wanted to fit this in with another topic. And
A skating
Yeah,
pirate
Borderlands
magician.
4 was the other.
yeah,
topic.
because we were talking about Borderlands 4, we were talking about the CEO Randy Pitchford and how he does magic tricks, and what were we talking about? I feel like Reed is too common of a surname to be certain about that, dude.
Not spell R-E-A-D. It's kind of uncommon to have R-E-A-D. It's usually
Is it?
double E
I mean-
or an E-I.
I mean, think about the origin of surnames, though. Like, surely there was some scholar or reader who, I don't know, who developed that surname, and that you could easily just be one of those from a different bloodline.
I don't claim this. I don't go around bars saying I'm descended from a pirate. My grandfather probably
Sure.
did.
You brought it
Probably
up, so
how
I'm
he
just
met
giving you my
gran,
opinion.
but-
I'd love if you were descended from a pirate, and I'm not trying to talk shit, but I don't know. That's just my guess.
I don't mind either way. If I am, cool. If I'm not, cool. I give a shit.
Wait, Jay. American Fear in the chat says, "Did J-Mate's family invent reading?"
Yes, which is ironic
Maybe
because I'm
that's why.
dyslexic.
Well, you were so good at reading your family, and through inventing it, it just started to get perverted as bloodline went through. It drove you mad into dyslexia because you were such great.
I've told you
With
guys
yours.
the joke when I was a kid, right? The kids would at school would joke that my middle name was Can't. James Can't Read. Great joke.
Oh, fuck.
Great joke. It's actually legit.
I feel you on that one. People made fun of my last name because nobody knows what my fucking last name is. They don't know where to
What
put
would they
me
say?
ethnically.
What would they say? Like instead of your last name?
One of the nicknames was Mycosaurus Rex because they thought part of the last name Saruhas looked like
Was
Tyrannosaur.
like Saurus. Oh yeah.
I guess, yeah, a little bit.
I get it.
I sort of see it, yeah. So that was one. A little girl called me in, I think, 3rd grade, Michael Trash Can, because it started with a T. And it wasn't because I smelled. Like, it was specifically because of the last name. But the T is confusing in my last name, at least one of the confusing elements.
Yeah.
So she called me Trash Can. She probably had a crush on me.
What an
Idamon
unfunny
says,
bitch.
Mike's last name is probably some seizure over the keyboard. No, it's just Greek. It's just a weird last name.
That fucking broke Tina. Her sombrero nearly fell off.
Why is Tina laughing so hard? What's going
Because
on?
she's laughing at that
She's-
joke. That
For those who can't, Tina's clasping her face right now, rolling around in her chair, eyes nearly shut,
Oh my
mouth shut.
god.
Which part was funny, Tina?
Seizure on a keyboard.
Seizure on a
Seizure on a
keyboard. No,
It's
to
not
be fair,
funny.
like, look, I'm totally aware of how hard and difficult and ridiculous my last name is. Even for Greek last names, it's a little unusual. So, seizure on a keyboard is pretty funny. Itamon. And I'm sorry, Itamon, I couldn't produce for you a better gay game with gay men in it. I apologize. I was really hoping to get that in there, but I couldn't.
so. to
Much
keep
like
it
you're
on-
hoping to get it in there. Ha!
Dundum. To keep it on a pirate theme, we've got a donation from Johnny Rogers with $2 and says, just a smiley face for the use of Baldur's Great Free and Star shit, which I believe is what Eric put down at the bottom as descriptions with the images that we're showing.
Oh my god.
So Eric, that last dono's for you. Because we are 2 hours 15 minutes into this podcast, I am regretfully going to say that we're going to have to wrap it up there.
Wait, real quick, Jay. Can I
What?
just say Baldur's Gate, more like Baldur's Great, is fucking hilarious to me.
It's great, right?
It's
Well done,
good,
Eric.
I mean, it's a great game.
It's a great
That's all.
game.
I just had
Free.
to express that. Please continue wrapping up.
Yeah, the wrap up is happening. Thank you so much, Tina and Mikey and Eric, our podcast producer in the background, for joining me on today's podcast discussing early access. And thank you so much to everyone in chat. Tina's broken. We need to wrap this up. This needs to be
T-shirt on the
wrapped
keyboard.
up.
Okay.
She's
Sorry.
okay.
Continue.
Guys, can you both say bye
It's
in
so
your own
not
unique
cool.
way, please?
It's sensitive. And I don't condone that joke.
You don't
Yeah, but you
condone
are pissing yourself.
sense
at it.
sensitive. Okay. Well, I'm having a tough time believing your sincerity here, Tina.
Oh my god. Why don't you make an engine if you don't like it?
Are you
All right,
referencing
Pitchford.
Randy Pitchford right now in his comments?
Fucking Pricksford.
Maybe
Tina,
just-
say goodbye.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Tina-
Tina, say goodbye.
Okay.
Mikey,
I will do
say
my
goodbye.
unique goodbye. Bye-bye. Goodbye.
All right. From all of us here at DevHeads,
Thank you, everybody.
so much for watching. We will
Tina,
see
drink
you
some water,
in the
relax.
next one.
I know my nose is running. Okay, thank you.
Bye.